Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to this Eureka City Council meeting, January 20th, 2026. It's nice to see you all, and we're glad you're here. We will open this meeting with the land acknowledgement. The land that Eureka rests on is known in the Wiyot language as Jirojiji. Past actions by local, state, and federal governments removed the Wiyot and other indigenous peoples from the land and threatened to destroy their cultural practices. The city of Eureka acknowledged the Wiyot community, their elders both past and present, as well as future generations. This acknowledgement demonstrates the city's commitment to dismantle the ongoing legacies of settler colonialism. And with that, can we get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Castellano?
Here.
Councilmember Moulton?
Here.
Councilmember Fernandez?
Here.
Councilmember Bauer?
Here.
Councilmember Contreras-Deloche is absent, and Mayor Burgell.
Here. And will all who care to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, and is there a report out of closed session, City Attorney Black?
Mayor, no reportable actions were taken in closed session.
Thank you. That will move on to our first presentation, the City Tsunami Outreach Program with Chief Stevens. Hello and welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. All right, good evening again, Mayor and Council. I'm here tonight to present on the City of Eureka's Tsunami Outreach Program. This will include why we need this program, who makes up the team pushing the mission forward, plus who are our community partners, and what's been accomplished so far, as well as next steps in this process. So why do we need outreach and education on, and educate our communities, educate our residents, and generally educate the overall population of the county on tsunamis? Unlike distant tsunami events, a local event could reach our shores within 10 minutes. We don't have hours to prepare, so we need to do the education now. This all could be triggered by a major earthquake on the Cascadia subduction zone, and so that is a real threat, and we've been told that it's not a matter of when, it's just a matter of it's going to happen, and it's going to happen sooner than later, following up on some of the recent earthquakes we've had. We've also had two prior incidents in where we had tsunami alerts go out. One following an earthquake a little over a year ago, and then one while accidentally sent out and didn't really affect us, but you could see the fear and chaos that it still created in our community. So having seen that firsthand, both from an internal standpoint and from a community standpoint, we realized we needed to do something to, one, fix our internal processes for EPD. So we're doing that. We have a complete plan now to cover any type of emergency situation that our people know how to pick up a binder, pick up a backpack. It's got all the information in there, and we can start our critical roles as first responders, but also as our community. So we hired Larry Henderson, who was a part-time employee for us. We hired him as a contract employer who has some experience in putting together large-scale plans and education pieces, and he's kind of been the lead on this program and conducting the outreach and putting together his team that is working together to create all these documents and these PowerPoints and all this good information. So with no real time for warnings or first responder assistance, immediate evacuation is the critical piece of this. This is what it comes down to. Tsunami response is the knowledge about how to respond correctly to a tsunami event has to become a way of life. It has to become a culture in Eureka, not something we fear or remain complacent about. The time to make this change and mindset is now. If you go to Crescent City and you ask anybody about a tsunami response, It's just a way of life for them. They know they're in danger, they know how to respond, and they're comfortable with telling you exactly what they're going to do. That's the kind of attitude that we need to have here. It's just a way of life in a coastal town, and it's a way of life we need to learn about here in Eureka. The safety of our residents and businesses depends on their own preparedness. As first responders, there's only so much we can do. And especially in a Cascadia event, we will not be sending first responders into a tsunami zone until the tsunami is over, just because fire can't afford to have our resources caught up in something that we can't get out, because we can't help anybody if we're stuck in a tsunami zone. So the Tsunami Outreach Program plays a crucial role for preparedness by ensuring everyone knows what to do, leading to a more predictable and coordinated response, which ultimately saves lives and reduces chaos. This predictability and coordination enable emergency responders to act swiftly, minimize risk, and save lives. It's changing on the computer, but not on the... Okay. So as a part of the team and the program, there's 4 major components. There's the messaging, the organization, targets, and projects. And we're going to go over each one of those. So the first part is the message. On the left, you see the typical, the messaging that's been out there for years about how to respond to an earthquake, how to get to high ground immediately once the shaking stops, and then stay there because tsunamis can last for hours and we just don't know. So stay there until you get the all clear. On the right is, I think I passed, everybody got a copy of it. This is the messaging that's going out to all of our partners and people in our community. And it really is just about knowing your zone. If you're in the zone, know what to do to get out and how to get out. If you're not in the zone, don't do anything. You're fine. Stay there. Take care of your family. Don't go into the zone and think you can help or try to find somebody. So the team is made up of 4 components: Eureka Police Department, Humboldt Bay Fire, the Community Emergency Response Team CERT, and then the Redwood Coast Tsunami Working Group. So EPD, Humboldt Bay Fire, and CERT have taken the designated lead in this due to their agencies having essential roles as first responders, requiring situational awareness throughout all phases of a local source tsunami event. The Redwood Coast Tsunami Working Group is specialized in knowledge of tsunamis and education resources, and they've been a great partner to assist with all the planning and preparation that's gone into this. So from the Eureka Police Department, leading this team is Larry Henderson. Humboldt Bay Fire is Chief Citro. Community Emergency Response Team is Gene Bass. And then from the Redwood Coast Tsunami Working Group is Lyndon Nellis. So let's talk about our partners. We have function-based connectors, and these are connectors that have shared tsunami risk because of what they do. Examples are Eureka Chamber of Commerce, Eureka Main Street, and the Humboldt County Lodging Alliance. In addition, the Bayshore Mall Security has really taken a big leap into this project with us and are really helping with the messaging with big box security or big box commercial companies and their security. Location-based connectors. These are shared tsunami risk because of where they are. So these are well-established, community-focused businesses that serve as trusted anchors in a neighborhood. They champion resilience by partnering within the city to promote tsunami awareness and safety. Examples are Pearson's, Hensel's, and Carl Johnson's, and they've all stepped up to become leaders in their neighborhoods and for the tsunami outreach. So the demographics. So we have businesses that provide similar services in tsunami hazard zones, which increase risk. And then we have groups that share common conditions, increasing their vulnerability. So those 3 demographics are major retail. And again, that group, the outreach is being led by the Bayshore Mall and Mike Fogarty. We have our houseless individuals. And that outreach has its own steering committee. It's led by the Community Access Project for Eureka Cape, and also has partners with Betty Chen, Redwood Coast Regional Center, and EPD CSET team. And then we have motels, and that outreach is being run by the Lodging Alliance of Eureka. We have public facility targets, and those include Eureka offices and facilities for the city, the Wharfinger and Marina, Eureka Golf Course, and the Waterfront Trail. We have public facilities to outreach to. That is the airport, Willie Island, Department of Health and Human Services offices, as well as Six Rivers National Forest. And then we have guardians. A guardian target is a business or organization whose services or operations place employees, clients, or visitors within a tsunami hazard area, or that serves clients who live, work, or regularly operate within such areas, thereby bearing a heightened responsibility to minimize exposure and promote safe behavior. Fingers do not want to work tonight. And this is an example of, I know it's hard to read, I'm going to zoom in on some of it, but as part of this outreach, and I'll show you the numbers in a minute, this letter has been sent to numerous businesses, organizations, and it just talks about who they are as far as the tsunami response team. It talks about their role, talks about what a tsunami is and how it can be generated, and what they can do to help us with the messaging. So as part of our Guardian targets, those all fall within the tsunami zones and the types of services they provide, and they all have been reached through that communication with that letter to start sharing it among people they contact, as well as more than 50 churches, 12 social services groups, and 6 media outlets have also been contacted to share the message. So yellow zone targets are businesses and organizations in the tsunami hazard zone. And then inside that hazard zone, we have hazard targets, public risk targets, and outreach targets. These are important for the interests of the city, just because of the risk they all have toward the population, and this is why the outreach to them is so important to us. So our hazard targets are our fuel facility, the Chevron facility, our wastewater treatment plant, Schmidt-Bauer, and Humboldt Waste Management Area. Each of those create a new kind of challenge for us if they're inundated with water or suffer any kind of major damage due to the earthquake, both from a hazmat, environmental damage, but also from Schmidt-Bauer, all the wood, lumber they have, logs. If that stuff begins to be forced through the city through water, then now we have a whole different hazard that's been created that we have to deal with. And then we have our public risk targets. These are our big box stores or areas where we have large numbers of people congregated, such as the Bayside Village, Pearson's, the mall, Victoria Place, Gaining Grounds, Costco, Target, Shoreline RV, Mid-City, auto dealerships, and then the Green Diamond Center. And then we have outreach targets. So this involves a neighborhood-based program where local businesses and residents work together to share information, raise awareness, and prepare for tsunami risk, similar to how a neighborhood watch program promotes safety, but focused on tsunami incidents and readiness. Each neighborhood will be hosted by an operational partner. So the outreach team has broken down our high inundation areas to 6 different districts. So starting from the south moving forward based on geographical challenges and the proximity to numerous businesses. And just as an example, we'll talk about and here you can see starting in the south with the first district down there moving along city property all the way through out to 101 and those businesses we identified. But we'll talk about number 1 real quick just as an example. So within that area on the south side of Broadway, there are 6 different neighborhoods identified down there. So we have the Sunset neighborhood, the Bayside Village, Elk River neighborhood, Hillficker, Bucksport, and the Highland Avenue neighborhood. So you can see each one of those is anchored by some type of business, some type of location that can be that center point for information and promotion of this type of information and readiness. So projects, what they're working on. First one was, the work task was to update the city's GIS and online maps to be consistent with the current standard maps of the federal and state offices of emergency services. And we're happy to announce that that has been completed. So our maps now match all the maps by other agencies when it comes to the tsunami mapping. The next task is Main Street signage. So this work task is to work with local artist groups to create visual signage of tsunami hazards and safe areas that is reflective of Eureka's character while consistent with applicable standards. So this actually came out of council at a recommendation during one of our other meetings, and they're actively working now to get individuals signed up to do this and come up with signage and make it unique to Eureka, but also serves the purpose of identifying those hazard areas, especially in the Old Town area, to get people to a safe location. And then we have the school tsunami video. So this work task is to partner with local high schools in a competitive program for students to create a video for local distribution about what a local source tsunami would look like. This helps increase getting buy-in from students, especially at an earlier age, to help get that message out there. And once we get the buy-in from them and they start the outreach among them, their partners, their peers, then I think we really can set the next generation up for more success when it comes to readiness. And the last one is, well, the City of Eureka Department Outreach. So this work task is for each City of Eureka department to develop and implement ongoing strategies that leverage its unique resources and functions to promote tsunami awareness and preparedness. So this could be an example of a streets crew that could carry flyers with them and hand it out when they're out in an area, maybe tagging houses or put them on flyers on houses on that you're in the tsunami zone. Do you have a plan? It's really up to each department to come up with an out-of-the-box way that they can contribute to the messaging and outreach for the tsunami readiness in Eureka. And then the last is the Cal OES grant. So this work is underway to secure a grant from the State Office of Emergency Services to help fund the cost of the city's tsunami outreach efforts. Future projects they're working on is the evacuation plan. This will be in collaboration with the county OES and other local agencies to create plans, and it really is just to cover where to go and how to get there. It's a major undertaking. It's going to take a lot of heavy lifting by a lot of people to get it done, but it's definitely something that is very much needed, especially in Eureka with the ingress and egress points we have and those that evacuate from Samoa over here, making sure that we can get them off the island and to a safe location. And then the other part is the mutual aid job sharing. So in the event of a major Cascadia incident, first responders may not be able to report to their jurisdictions, but may be able to help in other places throughout the county. We'll be working with other agencies to develop strategies for sharing personnel. And we've already talked about this at LECA. You know, if we're isolated here in Eureka and, you know, my commanders can't get in from where they live, or we, you know, officers that work for Fortuna can't get to Fortuna and they live here, or firefighters, the same thing. You know, how can we utilize those resources in our areas of jurisdiction? They use our resources so that we still have people, boots on the ground, that can help with these types of emergencies. And so that's going to be a project that we'll work through the LECA process with and get all the departments to sign on with and come up with a process and a procedure for that to happen until roadways are clear and you can get back to your jurisdiction. So for anybody looking for more information, all the tsunami zone maps for Humboldt County are available online at the Redwood Coast Tsunami Working Group. And that's the email address right there, or the webpage. And then I just want to take a minute to thank the tsunami outreach team, especially Larry, for their drive and to get this off the ground and keep the momentum moving forward. It's a big undertaking. The Chamber of Commerce for taking lead on outreach to local vulnerable businesses. Main Street for taking the lead on outreach to the Old Town businesses and residents. The Bayshore Mall Security for taking the lead on the outreach to the local retail centers. Hensel Materials and Pearson Building Center for helping and planning for neighborhood outreach programs. CAPE, Betty Chen, and staff for taking the lead on outreach to our coastal unhoused residents. The Ink People for stepping forward to transform tsunami preparedness into a creative community-shaping art form. And then the City of Eureka staff, who are always willing to help and have been great contributors to this process so far. And in closing, I'd just like to say it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. The ground's going to shake, and we will have the big one, and we will get wet. And there are knowns and givens that we all need to accept as a way of life. In terms of education, outreach, and preparedness, the time is now. It is vital that the city take the lead in creating this new culture within our city. When we, the city, takes it seriously, we take the lead, and we lead by example out front for everyone to see, witness, then our community will follow us, and lives will be saved. So I have Larry and Chief Citros here. They're the experts in this. I'd be happy to try to answer any questions, but I may defer a lot of it to them, as tonight I'm just kind of the spokesperson and supporting their efforts and what they've been doing. So appreciate your time and happy to answer any questions you have.
Great. You did a fine job. Do we have any questions?
To see who presents.
Councilmember Castellano?
Thank you, and I really appreciate all the work on this. I was curious, when you're talking about the need for organizations where people can gather during a potential tsunami or for evacuation. Are you looking for more organizations?
As far as where they can gather,
Yeah, like you said, like Pearson's is stepping up. My workplace is opening up a new site just outside of the tsunami zone that would be very accessible for people working in Old Town, for instance.
so Pearson's is open. They're taking part as a partner in the piece of the neighborhoods. They're going to be leading the neighborhood and conducting the outreach. Pearson's is not a safe location to go
right.
to.
That's what I was wondering. Yeah.
So don't go to Pearson's. But when it comes to the education and outreach piece, Pearson's has stepped up as a business to be the hub of that neighborhood
Yeah.
and help get all the other neighbors, the businesses in that location ready and their customers ready in the event something
Yeah.
happens. So they're taking the lead on that. We will never turn down a business that wants to help us with the outreach and the communication piece and sharing that information, because that's where the education comes in. So when you get up and running, if you want flyers, you want how to create a plan, you want us to come do a talk to your employees, then that would be something we'd be happy to do.
And it's generally, depending on the nature of the earthquake, you may not want people to go inside, but then there's that period of kind of waiting for a tsunami where people, like, is there a point where you would assess that, okay, it's safe to go back inside, but yet don't go into a tsunami zone? Or
So that's all going to come from the experts that are reading so put it this way, if the ground shakes, drop cover, stay there until the ground stops shaking. If it's a local event and it shook hard, if you're in the tsunami zone, get out until you get a notification that there is no tsunami threat. And usually that will come pretty quick.
yeah,
And if there is a tsunami threat and we get the warning, if you're in the tsunami zone, get out and stay there until you get the all clear. There is no reason, no way to go back in, because it could be 10 minutes, it could be an hour, and it may be last 24 hours of waves that could come in that could cause damage or trap you. So, and if you're not in the tsunami zone, take the appropriate measures for the earthquake. Stay at home. Don't go anywhere. Don't drive. Don't leave your house. Just stay there if it's safe to do so.
Great.
Yeah, please, Larry.
Welcome, Larry.
Thank you, and hopefully you can hear me. Yes, I wanted to add very important question, and I want to emphasize that that's the answer we don't know, depending on the particular circumstances, and we need to ask. So if I go down to Main Street to one of the businesses, and I'm going to use Irish Shop, for example, old building, Cece, what are you going to do? I want her to think about it, and I want her to be prepared. She needs to answer the question. The city can't go in and tell them what to do, because we don't know the particular circumstances of that particular location in that building. But we can sit there and we can encourage them to think about it and talk about it, and that's what we're trying to do with the outreach program. So we will be working, for example, with Main Street to go ahead and start contacting the businesses, and that's kind of the program that we're going to go through in order to what questions do we need to ask, and how can we give guidance and assistance to the population out there to actually answer the questions you just asked. Yeah. But those questions have to be answered.
thanks, Larry.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Might as well stay up here.
Okay. Councilmember Moulton?
Thank you. And thank you so much, Chief, for the report. And thank you for everybody who's worked on this. Clearly, it is a very big project to a relatively complicated situation. Is this the messaging? Is this all of the text that we are going with? Or is there further work on this that's happening?
There's the answer to that is no.
Okay.
There's other materials going on. For example, today I found out from the Ink people that I got examples of similar documents that they have. And it's the bottom line is very clear. If you're in the yellow zone, get out. If you're not in the yellow zone, don't go in. You get the shaking, you get out. Any way that we can get that message across is is doable, and we need to do that. This example that we just showed and gave to you was what we prepared because we really don't have a simple message yet to give. So the idea was to come up with one sheet they can place on a business window or just hand out. So while this is the first in the line, I know that there's going to be others that's going to be more creative and probably get the message out simpler. But right now, this is the bus we're going with, yes.
I'm glad you said simpler, because I think that is my concern, is that, when it comes to reaching the public at large, a slogan that's more, or a message that's more than 5 words is too much for people to stick when they're in an emergency. You need like stop, drop, and roll, like get down and hang on, like that. So I'm glad to hear that is continually going to be continuing to work. There's also like one of the big concerns that we had during the last tsunami warning that I think you could address in your messaging is that, yes, you will get a warning. Yes, you are going to get something on your cell phone that says, hey, you're in a county that has a tsunami zone, and people misunderstood that. And that's a lot of the feedback that I've been getting about that, is that people got a message that said you're in what they read was, I'm in a tsunami zone, but they were on top of Humboldt Hill, or they were, way uphill, way by Sequoia Park. And I think just addressing that, like, even if you get a text message, like you say, the most important thing is to know if you're in the zone or not. So I think just pointing that out. Then I would like to suggest that a good partner might be the regional center.
Yes.
There are a significant number of adults with disabilities who live in Old Town, and there was a lot of confusion about what they should be doing if they have mobility issues. Should they be coming down from the 4th story to then walk, or get their wheelchair down and then try and get out of the tsunami zone? So at the regional center might help those people individually get plans, and they have an automated texting network that kicks in that you could connect to as the to help.
If I
go ahead.
may, Ron Lee has been very involved with this.
Oh, good.
And actually, we should be thanking them, because we have met with the group, and he definitely is a partner, very active. So yes, the answer is yes.
Great, thank you. Is there a consecutive map of this that goes on? I noticed the ones downstairs, they're broken up into city zones, but when you show the one up here, it's one big map. When you're handing out maps, or when you're doing this outreach, or is some on the website online, is there an easily accessible, like, full map of the city that isn't broken down by neighborhood?
If you go to the website that we show, it has Eureka. What we need to do is break it down further. So we've gone through, and yes, there are 6 sectional maps. I can go ahead and provide those to the council.
Thank you.
But,
Councilmember Fernandez just pulled it up for me. Thank you. Okay. One other question. Sorry, I'm peppering you. This is clearly public safety communication is a passion of mine. Why is the map on the Humboldt University website? Why is the information on Humboldt Humboldt.edu?
That seems to be, first of all, when we're communicating to people outside the city too. And that's the key agency that's recognized by all the state and federal agency as being the most knowledgeable, the go-to group. So they actually have the official map that's recognized by the state, and they are very comfortable and assertive in saying that this is the map we need to go with. So if we have to look at anything in terms of what can we mostly rely on, it's that map. So what the city has done now, we've taken and we've incorporated so our maps are consistent with that. But as far as getting the information out, that's the best website we can send or refer to.
Okay, thank
Does
you.
that answer the question?
That does. They are a state agency, I think was the thing I wasn't thinking of. Thank you.
And I think they also host the Tsunami Working Group as well, correct?
I'm sorry.
Don't they host the Tsunami Working Group?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. One more question, if you don't mind. Chief, you said something, and I want to see if maybe I misunderstood it. You were talking about different departments doing outreach in different areas, and each of them being responsible for their own messaging. Can you elaborate on that? I'm a little concerned about different departments with different messaging.
Not different messaging, it's different ideas and ways to get the message out. So they take the message from the working group, they take the message from the city, and given their assignments, their particular assignments within their department, and the people that they do reach through their work, how can they take part in helping with that outreach? How can they help spread our message through what they already do within their own department without having to become part of something special, but a part of their daily job? How can they take our message and help get it out to even more people?
I see. So one department might host a work group, whereas another, or an educational group, whereas another department might choose to do flyering. But it's all the same message,
It's all the
pointed
same
to
message.
the
It's
same
just
central information.
asking them to think outside the box and help us get the message out to more and more people.
Love it. Thank you so much.
Councilmember Fernandez.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for putting together this presentation and putting the work into it. And thank you, Councilmember Moulton, for bringing up the regional center as well. When I was a staff worker for the union that represents the IHSS workers, that's a conversation we had. Being in an area like this, is that those are the times that you're going to get called into being a first responder, and you're not really well prepared for it because you're in a situation where it's like, I'm doing this work, but I've never really been told how to handle this situation if there's something emergent, particularly around a natural disaster. So that is something to consider, is, the population that's going to be most at risk, which would be your neurodivergent, your elderly, the lower end of the socioeconomic scale. And so I'm considering, with the map that you'd shown, which is, you see it doesn't look like a lot within city limits, but there's a high concentration of population and workers. And so I'm curious, and, I don't know if anybody will have the answer off the top of their head, but just that percentage of the tsunami zone that's within our city limits. Do we know that, or do we know how many people are in that particular area?
No, we don't have that. It's probably something, daytime populations change. I'm sure we could get a nighttime population, which is going to be significantly less than what the daytime operating population is going to be, because businesses will be open. And how do you calculate how many people are going to be at Costco on any given day? So
right. I'm just wondering if there was an approximation, just because, there is, there is that flux throughout the day, and we're going to have a lower population here at 9 p.m. rather than at 9 a.m. And so it's just trying to be prepared at all times of the day if something were to occur. And then I noticed that you had touched on CERT, and I'm blanking on the acronym right now, Community Emergency Response Team. Did I get that right? Okay, good. I had to really reach for that in the recesses of my mind. I'm curious if the city, and I know that they're their own separate entity, but if we've ever co-hosted or done any sort of training with them.
We will be doing more. We've been collaborating. This is more relative to EPD as a department, but Public Works and the emergency operations plan that you guys just adopted, it's going to be amended. And once we start doing that, we will be doing, tabletops with the county and others, and get the chamber involved, and we'll do more trainings. Yes.
Okay, that's good. Just because again, for those folks that would be most at risk, it's again difficult to attend like that all day training, because I think it's like, a 23-hour training module broken up over times. And I know I just saw recently for us, we're going to be hosting as the city CPR and first aid training with like a 4-hour component online. Is there anything that we can do that would be similar for CERT?
We can. Right now, we're in the process of assigning, what do we call them, chief? What are they? Roles, but the chiefs, basically assigning roles and putting names to those roles. So we're in the middle of doing that. Once we get that established, each one of those roles have a certain requirement for training, and we'll work with Humboldt Bay Fire and others to try and get that training for those specific individuals, and then they'll be able to host trainings.
Okay. And then to something that Councilmember Moulton had touched on, which is, at least we have a better understanding of why the maps and that information is hosted on another site. Is there a way that we can hot link that or have that available on our website and EPDs, just so?
Definitely.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Bauer.
Great job. I know a lot of work went into bringing all these people together, so really appreciate us focusing on what will be the biggest life-changing event for all of us if it happens. Hopefully not in any of our lifetimes. But I had a question about, being prepared for the tsunami is one thing. And I think this is a question that people probably have in their minds, like, when can I return to my home? Or do you have any idea? And have we started the planning of that? We're going to have a bunch of displaced people in the tsunami zone, right? What's the expectation of returning to our businesses or our homes that have been affected? Is there any thought to that?
I think the minimum is you have to look at when the all clear is given, and it's given from a source that it can be trusted within. So the county OES, the sheriff's department gives the all clear. But remember, we're not having a tsunami that's going to be that large because of an off-site event somewhere, a distant event. It's because the ground shook here that hard. So even if the water is not an issue or becomes a non-issue after 24, 48 hours, we still have potentially large-scale damage, infrastructure issues. Yeah. You may not be able to get back there anyway, just because of the damage from the earthquake. So it's really hard to plan. People want to know, like, where's an evacuation point that we can go to if we leave the tsunami zone? If we have a 9.0 earthquake, I can't tell you that you're going to be able to get to Carson Park to stand by there until we can get Red Cross or somebody there to help you. Yeah. So it's really hard to plan all those out. Get out of the zone to the safest area you can find, and then you're just going to have to depend on the information that we can get to you when that all clear comes out, and then it's going to be dependent on the circumstances, the environment at that time.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Castellano.
Thank you for that and for those questions. There are, through the COAD, Community Organizations Active in Disaster, some work around community resilience hubs, in spaces like that. But, as Chief is saying, there's a lot of uncertainties. And so, organizations or spaces that are offering that just kind of have to be ready in case it's needed, but also it may be that none of those places are safe as well. But I think the more people are generally prepared, then the more kind of resilient we will be as a whole, as a community.
Thank you. Any further questions? Thank you so much for that
Thank
great
you.
report. Okay, this moves us to commission reports. Planning Commission Commercial Fishing Report with Michael Kraft. Welcome, sir.
Good evening. All right. I should know that. Good evening. I'm Michael Kraft. I serve on the Planning Commission. Have been doing that almost 4 years now. Have about 20 years working in various parts of economic development in Humboldt County. Was Small Business Development Center director back in the day. More recently, some work with Redwood Region Rise. And as of January 1st, I became president of Humboldt Made, so Friday Night Market, most prominent in Eureka, other stuff. I'm not here as a fishing expert. I know a little bit about commercial fishing. I'm really here as a planning commissioner who knows a decent amount about the kind of generalist world of economic development. And on the Planning Commission, we've got the local coastal plan on our horizon. And I have been doing a little bit of consulting work with a fishing organization. And I proposed to the Planning Commission that we take a look, form a small committee to think, what can we do to better support commercial fishing out of Eureka? We've got something like 70 boats now, so thinking as an economic development person, 70 small businesses that are trying to do their bit here. And so that's what I have to present to you tonight. No slides, just going to talk. You've received the paper, so I'm just going to highlight a few things. This was coordinated with the Economic Development Commission. I presented to them a couple times, and the Commissioner Calder Johnson from that body served on the small ad hoc group that kind of advised and coached and cajoled. Community Services Director Kristen Kenyon also did that. And then Swan Asbury, Economic Development Manager, both did that, but also was a full participant in all of my interviews. And in fact, City Manager Slattery was a vigorous participant in one of those interviews as well and commented on the draft. So we tried to do this in a way that was practical for city staff, that didn't put stuff out that was ridiculous. And if you talk to fishermen, you can't talk to a commercial fisherman for 5 minutes and they won't talk about regulation, but with minor exceptions, that's beyond our scope here. So setting that aside. The study is journalistic. You know, it's not academic rigor. It's not a $50,000 consultant study. You know, I talked to a dozen people. I wrote up the notes. I analyzed from there and bounced that off of smart people and what I knew from other stuff. So that was pretty much the paper that you have is what I presented to the Planning Commission at the last meeting, and they said it's good enough to forward it along to the council. So now I'll just turn to highlighting some of the key recommendations that come out of that. I will tell you that if you didn't read the interviews, they're kind of fun, and you may find some gems in there that I didn't bring forward as key, so you may emphasize different things if you dive in. What we found was more economic development than zoning and that kind of thing, so more economic development commission world than planning commission world. But, you know, here's the short list. We would hope that Eureka will continue to embrace a working waterfront. Swan Asbury sees that going well with tourism as well. There's some cost issues that in some cases are to some degree within the city's purview. ICE would be one of those. And if you were to pick one thing to solve in the next, you know, in the near term, a better ICE situation would really be the one. This is largely a private sector thing, but to the extent the city can be supportive, things that we do to recruit additional buyers, to support direct-to-consumer, to allow selling off the boats as much as possible, to help the dockside market, which is very cool. All of those kinds of things are helpful. And the fishermen said, you know, they would each say each of those things has helped their business, has helped their bottom lines to some degree. I think Manager Slattery has a good beat on dredging and operates within limitations. Commercial fishermen would say that somewhat more jet dredging would be good. And, you know, I know the city staff is on that. I really can't come up with anything smart to say about it except to be supportive of what city staff is trying to accomplish there. The regulatory thing that I would say is both within the Planning Commission's purview and yours is that we've got this small zone from C Street along the waterfront to commercial that is where that working waterfront, where the work really hits there. And as we work toward the new local coastal plan and zoning, I, as one person would argue, to pretty vigorously protect the zoning that allows for loud, smelly commercial fishing uses in those areas. I'll channel Calder Johnson here a little bit, who said, you know, don't recreate the wheel. Let's study. Let's see what other people have done. Newport, Oregon, and Bellingham, Washington are two places that came up a number of times that if we wanted to study other places, what I hear, again, no expertise, but what I've been told is that those would be good places to learn from. I will leave you with this to say, you know, I know you're doing more of the visioning tonight. If you would keep that working waterfront and the people who make it a working waterfront in mind as you do those things, allow some bandwidth of city staff to help out with some of these other things. I'm pleased to say that Swan Asbury did run with a couple of things that came up. She was generally silent in the interviews. She'd ask a question, maybe, and then at the end she would say, so my takeaway is this, and it would be a bright idea, something that we could affirmatively do as a city to help. And a couple of times the person looked at me and said, and they didn't say it, they looked at, they was like, why have we've been talking to you for an hour, you know? So I take that as a good thing, if somewhat humiliating. So when you do your vision board, I hope the working waterfront and those community members of ours that make their lives fishing will be on it. I am happy to answer questions if I can. I will write down any questions I'm not able to answer and get somebody who has some expertise to help me answer me and get back to you. And thank you for your time.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for Mr. Kraft? Councilmember Bauer?
No, thank you. It's a really interesting report. Is the cold storage option, is it just violently expensive? I mean, why can't we? We've talked about it for years, you know? I mean, what's really the holdup other than it must just cost a fortune?
Here's how I would just say it very briefly. If you can grant fund the whole thing so it doesn't cost you a dime, you still will have a challenge on the operating revenue. You have to do some very good business planning, have good protocols. But those cities that I mentioned do it, make it work. And there is some sense that, you know, it's not just fishing and seafood that needs cold storage. It's value-added businesses like I interact with at Humboldt Made, it's farmers. So it is really a need. And you would be forgiven if you were thinking, can't we just get on with that?
So the areas that are like Washington, Bellevue, they have very large processors, and their companies themselves sustain a very large cold storage facility, tens of thousands of square feet, and then they have ancillary space that they could do. That's for the operation part of it. You need something big like that in order to happen. We've been through many different studies related to cold storage. I think I've been a part of 3 of them. The most recent one was meeting with North Coast Growers Association, the Humboldt County Growers Association, as well as the Fishermen Marketing Association. All of them have a good idea of doing it, but not it without having the revenue to sustain it in a big business like that. It's very difficult. And like you said, the building it and doing it is relatively easy, and we could probably get an economic development grant to do that. It's just once you have it, it's worse than a public pool.
Ouch.
That is ouch. Councilmember Moulton, did you have a question?
Councilmember Bauer actually asked my question, but it's too bad we can't, that they just disassembled the country's largest refrigerator just north of here. Right.
Thank you for that fun fact. Councilmember Fernandez.
Thank you. So what I'm hearing is we could invest in a community pool, and it would be cheaper. So
It would be, yes.
yeah.
I'd be happy about that.
Well, yeah. So it sounds like that would be difficult, but you touch on the fact of maybe having a nonprofit or a cooperative, and I'm curious how far into the process you've looked into that. What would that look like? How feasible? Any costs?
So all of the caveats apply, that, you know, it still has to be able to turn some kind of surplus. I actually was one of the consultants 10 years ago on a cold storage project led by Greenway Partners, and I had 2 roles. One of them was to look at organizational structures. I think there are reasons to prefer the nonprofit one by a little bit. They all can work, and so that Greenway study, I think, and it was referenced by the most recent study that Mr. Slattery mentioned. you can, that studying has been done. It's really whatever your organizational model, finding the revenue stream that will support it over the decades is the challenge.
And then I know later on in the report, or at least in one of the interviews, it's noted that you touch on ice, and it says a more accessible, fisherman-friendly ice plant would be on the top of the wish list. And so it sounds like ice is available here, but it's more costly than it is in the two other cities you identify. So what's the discrepancy there? How does that?
So I'll take the first shot, and Mr. Slattery may want to add to this. The existing ice facility is in the building leased by Pacific Choice, which is not operational very much. There is some stuff that happens there during crab season, is my understanding. If I have it correct, the terms of their lease is it's supposed to be available. I don't think price is dictated, but the price is more than both Crescent City and Fort Bragg by a significant amount. Mm-hmm. But I think even less supportive of the industry is, it's kind of short, like almost banker's hours. When you're fishing, you want to get it like dark 100 in the morning or the night before and be able to go. And so to be told you can come over between 10 and 2 and we'll send the guy down is very, very tough.
And that is a problem. So after Pac Choice limited their operations significantly, that's when the price went up. They do, I think it's $400 a ton or something ridiculous like that, and it's more than double Brookings or down south of here. But the lease that we do have dictates that they have to be on call, very similar to our public hoist, that at any time anybody wants to get ice, they're supposed to be there. Problem that we have is that we have spoken to the Marketing Association multiple times about this. I've talked to other buyers trying to get people up here. We could look into their lease and what we have the ability to do with that lease. The problem is we don't have anybody that can operate it. The Marketing Association is concerned that if they were to take it over, that they wouldn't have the wherewithal to maintain it and keep it up and running. We've had this conversation about the public hoist. That's why we put in 2 new public hoists down at Commercial Street, and they're operating them now, so that sentiment may change. But it's very similar to the public hoist, which I'm sure you all heard from Ashley Vellis about her concerns related to that. It's very similar. You need to have somebody to operate it. Having ice at all is better than not having ice. Mm-hmm. And so it's a matter of figuring out, we can have that conversation, but if we don't have anything to fall back on, there's not much we can do.
I'm curious then, because if it does sound like they're supposed to be available on demand and they're not. And is that part of their lease?
Yes.
And so they're not abiding by their lease.
Correct.
And so what's our avenue of pursuit in this
so
one?
Let's,
or holding
if we play this out, I would say that it likely gets litigious. Mm-hmm. And I don't want to talk about whether it does, but we don't have anybody to operate it.
Okay. And then you had touched on a portion, I think this is my last question, about the hoist. And so something else in the same portion of the report, a success would be the recruitment of the buyer Fathom Seafood. And they go on to offer or talk about the different prices. So having additional buyers, what are we looking at then in pursuit of finding additional buyers for what's caught?
I don't have a good answer for that.
Okay.
We have space available, and we could get people into that space. We've talked to Loose America. Loose America is also a very highly sought-after buyer that would love to come up here. The facilities that we currently have right now gets political. There's fights among, so Pac Choice and Loose don't get along. The concern of Loose America coming up here is that they're going to be somehow disadvantaged by having Pac Choice running the ice plant and things like that. So there's a lot of politics involved in it. But we definitely have the Old England Marine site that is available, and we've talked to them about moving into there. I think it's been hugely beneficial for them. The Marketing Association having those hoists. They have 2 hoists there. They can all operate them as long as they're a member of the association. They don't need to have anybody on call. They can come and they can bring their forklifts. They can offload a product and be able to sell it to people who come up here trucking. It would be nice if we had another Pack Choice or another South Bend that we have here, but it's difficult to get them up here.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
Anything further? Seeing none, thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank
It was
you.
very educational. This moves us to public comment. This is the time for members of the public who wish to be heard on matters that do not appear on the agenda. City Council policy is to limit each speaker to 3 minutes. Such time allotment or portion thereof shall not be transferred to other speakers. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the City Council may not take action on an item that does not appear on the agenda. So, the time allotment for public comment on non-agenda items is a maximum of 30 minutes. That shall be allotted to receiving public comments in the initial period. If necessary, an additional period shall be allotted to public comments after city manager reports, but only if the first 30 minutes of public comment period was not sufficient to allow all those who wish to speak to do so. Do we have anyone here for public comment? Come on up. Come on up. Welcome. Nice to see you. You too.
So your mic's not on.
Your
Do you
mic's
mind?
not on.
The base of the mic. There you go.
Right here. Green light. Thank
There
you.
you are.
A lot of Italians don't need them, but I know. But I want to work hard on it this year. Like I said, my oldest grandson started driving in October, and the next one will be at the end of the year. So just pedestrian safety. I was at the orthopedics last week with my wife on a new hip post-op, and 2 people came in. Both were hit by cars. One was 2/3 across the intersection and got hit. The other one was hit on their bicycle. And the other guy says, "Do you have a lawyer?" "Oh, yeah, I got a lawyer." But just people looking out for pedestrians, you know. And I was at my nurse practitioners by the physical therapy. And I walked up to Crow Central, and I got to Booner, and it said walk, and the guy sped right in front of me around the corner. I would like to make an appointment with all of you this year just to talk for 15 or 20 minutes with some of my ideas. And Myrtle, I use Myrtle a lot because I live out there, but it's 30. It's 30 between West Avenue and Harrison, but it's unknown as 35 to 40 now, but it's posted 30. So with the new apartments going on by McFarland, I think we should give a little attention for the extra pedestrians and bicycles and people going in and out of those apartments by the ice cream shop there and drive-through coffee. I would like to get a self-funded traffic department with like 3X Navy SEALs or something running it. And, they don't have to be monsters, but give some warnings out like a NBA ref or something and say, but next time, if you go through the school and the kids are going, we're going to get you, But it's just something I'd like to see change some. Past 10 years, we've had a couple projects where, different groups in the government and different, have got together and it goes real hot for 2 or 3 years but thank you for Public Works for clearing the leaves at 14th in California by the stop sign. And they cleared the ones at the 30-mile-an-hour sign at Myrtle and Harrison. And we have a new chuck hole that you want to know about at 7th in California by the metal fitters school there by City Ambulance. So it needs to be plugged there. But I'll try to make an appointment with you guys this year, and I'll have my facts better. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here. And I saw a hand in the back. Did you want to come up? Yes. Okay. Come on up, Deborah. Welcome.
Hello, my name is Deborah Dukes, and I live on H Street, and I would like to echo what the previous commenter said about traffic. Thank you for making it 2 lanes, but there are still idiots who try to get the speed up to 50 miles an hour where it seems to top out on your speed is lights. And it happens particularly during school hours, which is scary. That said, the police department has been pulling people over lately. Thank you very much. Now, the real reason I came up to speak is I want to thank Council Members Castellano, Fernandez, and Bauer for being up early Sunday morning to attend the packed, not public hearing on the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management offshore leasing or offshore oil drilling lease proposal. Thank you especially, Councilmember Castellano, for your comments. It's not on the agenda tonight, so I know you can't take action, but I want to urge you to do whatever you can do legally before the public comment period ends this coming Friday, the 23rd. And after that, to take every action you possibly can to keep oil drilling off the coast, well, off all of the coasts, but particularly off our beloved Humboldt County coast, including, but not limited to, making sure no infrastructure is permitted on Humboldt County land. And it may not be possible to enact ordinances that are actually obeyed, but please do everything you can. I find it particularly ironic that they're trying to get rid of wind power offshore, but it's perfectly okay to drill for fossil fuel. As somebody who remembers Santa Barbara and San Refugio, not to mention the Exxon Valdez and the Gulf, I don't want any of that in my home. So thank you very much. Please address that however you can before Friday, even if it's just as individuals, and do everything you can as a council to forestall any kind of oil drilling off Humboldt County. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, my name is Phyllis Coy, and first of all, I have to agree about the pedestrian thing. I almost got hit myself twice by drivers. I don't know what their minds are, but they weren't behind the wheel. Anyway, but I wanted to thank the city council if you had anything to do at all with the free bus rides at Christmas to see all the lights. I took a legally blind lady along with that wanted to go. And we enjoyed them immensely. And I certainly hope they have more than maybe 3 buses next year, or maybe they can run 2 in each hour, so there's a lot more people that can enjoy the event. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And that was Councilmember Castellano, who was very involved in making that happen. So, yes, we are so grateful and thankful for her.
Teamwork, and really city staff, Humboldt Transit Authority staff did so much work on that.
Is there anybody else that would like to speak at public comment? Come on up. And this is for non-agenda items. Yeah. Welcome. It's on.
Hi, thank you for having me. I'd like to piggyback on the previous commenters about pedestrian safety in Eureka. I commute on my way to H, and I've seen people gotten pulled over. I've gotten pulled over myself. And I think the effort has been great to get pedestrian safety up here in the city. But the gentleman who spoke first, who lives on Myrtle, I also live on Myrtle with my partner. And, due to how you say city limits or whatever, there's not really a whole lot of law enforcement presence on Myrtle Avenue, and people rip up and down that street coming out of Health Sport over in that area. For New Year's, there were multiple checkpoints, but there wasn't any checkpoint back there, and people were spinning Brodies and racing all up and down that damn road. Like on a weekly basis. It's insane. It's not safe to walk out there. I think that jurisdiction is sheriffs, not EPD, so maybe they can pick up some slack. I've don't really see sheriff presence on that road a lot as I commute, and other people I know commute. So good job, EPD, doing what they can in their jurisdiction. Maybe we could get a little more effort like that, or some other stuff on Myrtle to kind of get people to incentivize to slow down and yield for pedestrians, and not peeling out in their race cars like it's a drag strip. Like, come on, we have Samoa. Maybe it's a little expensive, but use the drag strip, not the road. And that comes from someone who personally drives a car with a 12-cylinder. I know, I get it. Petrol heads be petrol heads, but maybe not in Myrtle, okay, or like public roads in general. I also like to commemorate the woman who spoke before me about urging, future agenda items to oppose offshore drilling. Let's keep our coastal waters as clean as possible and invest in renewable energies and not fossil fuels. And then I also had some personal comments about that was an agenda item, so I'll just keep that to myself for now. Thank you.
Thank you. So do we have anyone else in chambers who would like to comment? Come on up. Welcome, Vernon.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, council. My name is Vernon Price. I live at 217 D as in David Street here in Eureka, and we're having problems with 301 2nd Street, which is a new bar that's moved into the old Jim Dunn building, Jim Dunn bar. It's the new song siren. I had the privilege to have to call the Eureka Police Department this past Saturday night at 11 o'clock about a noise complaint. And I live on the alley side of 217 D Street on the 3rd floor with my windows closed, and it woke me up, and along with other people that live in the apartment complex. I also addressed the owner of the club. He said he was going to play music as loud as he wanted to until 12 midnight. He had a special permit to do so. He did not render a permit. The ordinance that I was able to find is a 10 p.m. noise ordinance. That's exactly what the law enforcement officers gave them. Thank goodness it was right close to 12 o'clock. He did close it down, but this is an every weekend thing. I will be reaching out to the city manager or the city attorney to see what the ordinance really stipulates. I would really appreciate y'all's assistance in that. Thank you so much for your time, your concern, and your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice to see you. Anyone else in chambers who'd like to comment on non-agenda items? Non-agenda. Come on up. Hi, welcome.
Hi there, thank you. Yes, my name's Chris, and I'm a avid bicycle rider, and I ride from Fields Landing to Eureka quite often. The waterfront trail. The trail seems to be lined with hypodermic needles, and I have volunteered with the pack out team and prior, and I've also gone out there personally and cleaned out some of these encampments and filled a sharps container. But this is an ongoing issue I've noticed. I've been riding this trail for a very long time. This needle exchange you have by the Betty Chin Center is a public nuisance, and it's a public health hazard. Thank you.
Thank you. Point of clarification, the exchange is not at Betty Chin's. It's actually down by the Samoa Bridge. But you can call and we can talk about that later if you care to.
Okay, thank you.
You betcha. Come on up. Hi there.
Hello. Just to clarify, I realize this is for non-agenda items.
Yes.
I'm Miss Cooper. I'm a trans mom, and I urge you to look into issues within the Eureka City School District, especially those related to negligence, discrimination, and rights violations, as well as retaliatory behavior to those who dare to speak up about such issues, with the strictest scrutiny and expectations warranted by California law and the results of their 2013 class action lawsuit with the ACLU, then please give strong considerations to actions such as leveraging your part in resources like the ECSD's SRO budget to help bring about greater legal and ethical compliance and support for our students. I will be following up with more information in future dates.
Thank you. Okay, are there anybody else in chambers? Seeing no one, we'll bring it over to Zoom. Is there anyone in Zoom?
I see no one on Zoom.
Okay. And I just got a note that potentially DHHS does operate the syringe exchange on Hillficker. So still give me a call, Chris. We'll talk. So we're going to close the public comment. Usually we don't talk during public comment, but that's the way it went tonight. So we're going to move to council reports, and we'll start with Councilmember Castellano.
Okay. Let's see, since our last council meeting, not including this special meeting, I attended the Humboldt Transit Authority board meeting, and then a specific kind of subcommittee or ad hoc committee meeting on strategic plan and implementation, the Humboldt Waste Management Authority meeting, in which we got an update on the sort of where we're at in terms of the composting process. In development still is the short answer. Let's see, continuing to work with nonprofits who are really picking up the slack with federal funding cuts. Was able to meet with Congressman Huffman along with other council members at a Democratic Central Committee meeting. I attended the offshore lease, oil lease town hall, and just to say, Councilmember Moulton was also there and had made some really great comments at the end. And so, we don't all get to see it all the time, and it's totally fine. I made lasagna at free meal and served 200 meals of lasagna, and doing some placemaking work. And then this week I'll be traveling to Sacramento. I'm the chair of the Cal City's Housing, Community, and Economic Development Policy Committee. And I really want to thank Director Kenyon from Eureka and Director Loya from Arcata, who are going to be part of a panel presenting on the 7th cycle of the regional housing needs allocation process, because we're really one of the first counties to going through it. And so it's a really cool opportunity for them to share what they're working with other cities in the state, as well as also share some of our successes in terms of implementing housing. So I just feel really thankful and excited that they're going to be there speaking to the things that we're experiencing right now.
Thank you. Councilmember Moulton.
Thank you, Mayor. I have no travel to report, but I'll work backwards. This morning I went to Mornings on Main Street, meeting with a little lightly attended that one, but every once in a while we have coffee with businesses involved in Eureka Main Street. I went to the offshore drilling public comment period forum. If you have opinions about offshore drilling off the California coast, I recommend you go to HumboldtWaterkeeper.org. They have a link, and I only mention their website because it's easy to remember, and they have a link to the public comment. So however you feel about it, that is a good place to find the link where you can make your own public comment. The whole conversation brought me back to my heartbreak as a native of the coast of the Gulf of Mexico when the Deepwater Horizon pumped oil into the Gulf for 87 days in a row. That's my feelings about it. I attended the Humboldt Bay Fire JPA meeting, the council special meeting, obviously on the 12th. I attended the design review meeting, watching how that commission is operating via Zoom, paying attention to that one. And then I attended the Democratic Central Committee meeting with Congressman Huffman. Thank you. That's all. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Fernandez.
Likewise, as my colleagues, I attended a small town hall with Congressman Huffman and the Humboldt County Democratic Central Committee. There were other local leaders and organizations involved with that. Then earlier in that day as well, participated in the Get ICE Out protest that was over in front of our county courthouse here in Eureka. Well attended, well behaved, good trouble, I guess you could call it. Let's see. Again, as there was just a lot going on this weekend that we all seemed to run into each other at, because I too was at that forum that I had seen Councilmember Moulton at as well. But that one was for opposing the offshore leasing and drilling of oil along our coast. Then yesterday was the NAACP Martin Luther King Jr. Celebration, Lift Every Voice and Sing, and I think I saw you there as well, Madam Mayor. Again, good festivities, just good for the soul otherwise, but a lot of conversation. And there's still a general apprehension about what's going on in our country at this time. Coincidentally, the next piece I have on here is there is a de-escalation training tomorrow at the Wharfinger being hosted. I forget who the officer is from EPD hosting that one. Oh, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Sergeant Ross and Jacob Rosen. And so, and then that's what I have. But coincidentally, yesterday as well, I was talking with one of our residents here in the city about some issues that they've had with being a pedestrian or a cyclist in our community. And so I'm not sure what the solution is there, extensively, because I know that we've been doing more through EPD in our enforcement. It was up 233% along those lines for stops. And then, it's a modicum 3% that we've seen a reduction in traffic collisions. It's still an improvement from where we were a year ago, but, we've got to do what we can to do right by ourselves. And I remember at a time that there was slow the F down along the corridor. So I don't know what happened to that organization, but maybe that's a conversation we need to have in our neighborhoods, is what can we do to make this better for ourselves. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Castellano, did you have one thing or something
Sure, I just
to
want
add?
to add one thing because it keeps coming up. Just that the Coalition for Responsible Transportation Priorities just opened a petition today for making 4th and 5th Streets safer. So just check out their website. They're doing some work around that.
Thank you. Councilmember Bauer.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start with, I apologize, I missed it. So city staff did a Cooper Gulch or Cooper Park tour of all the great things going on out there, the restoration work. We're installing new bridges. The trail has been improved. If you haven't had a chance to go to Cooper Gulch, go do it. That park is transforming, and it's been really staff doing a great job to make it happen. And I think 75 people or something came. So thank you, community, for your interest in our one of our local parks. I also attended the JPA meeting and learned that we're fully staffed right now, which is awesome. I want to thank, there's a few of them here in the room, and just thank them for all they did with the fire in Arcata, the mutual aid we provide each other. We're a good community, and it was an unfortunate thing, but thank you to Humboldt Bay Fire for helping out there. I also attended the SHOTS Energy Lab. I forget the exact name. SHOTS did a thing on offshore wind. And as you all know, it's pretty much a DOA right now because of the federal government. But trying to get people educated on offshore wind and, the impacts. And it was really interesting. There's still a lot of people that we have a long ways to go. Someday we're gonna build these turbines out there, and for the community to really understand, what we're getting into. There's still a lot of people that have a hard time wanting it to go forward. So I hope we can continue to educate and hopefully someday we can get that renewable energy in place. I attended a Keep Eureka Beautiful meeting. There will be street trees coming soon in a bunch of locations. I forget the exact date, but not within the next couple of weeks. So I'll report back next time. I did meet with Congressman Huffman also when he was in town, and he's a great guy, and he really cares about our community. And he's all the districts have changed, so it'll be an interesting election year. But he's really worked hard for our community. I also attended the offshore, I'll call it the oil drilling meet. And again, amazing turnout. 200-300 people. I mean, we packed the place. The community's against it. And we're going to do our best to make sure that it doesn't happen here. Also met with a reporter from Sports Illustrated who is writing hopefully a nice story about our community and the great fishing opportunities. He's a sports writer, so that was really, really fun to hang out with him and tell him how great our community is. And I will be attending the Environmental Quality Committee meeting for Cal Cities on Friday, so where I'm vice chair of that committee now. So look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Always so much great stuff happening. Thank you, guys. So I have a few things that I did in the last couple of weeks. Went to the HCOG meeting. We discussed there the climate action plan. It's finally moving forward. Looking at where that will be housed, who will be running that. There was a lot of discussion about crisis versus change. And that, again, will be decided as we move forward. We elected officers. I'm now currently the vice chair. And then a couple of other things. Indianola out off the 101. Their hope is to be completed before the end of the summer. So be looking for that. That's pretty exciting. It's been a long time coming. And if you haven't been over it, it's pretty, I'm sure you have if you've been to Arcata, but one of the neat things is that, as you're going over it, if you look over at the bay, you get a whole different view. It's just gorgeous. It's beautiful. Well, yes, you do need to keep your eyes on the road. So be a passenger and look over, but I just have to tell you, it's fabulous. It's really, it really showcases the beauty where we live. Let's see, oh my gosh, you guys. So I got to have the opportunity. I'm so excited about this. We had the opportunity to bring in a class of kids. They were probably 10, and there were littles as well. They came in and they were called the Redwood Rangers. They came in and did a tour of City Hall and got to walk around and ask a lot of questions. And we got to do a mock council meeting, and they were so adorable. So their topics for their council meetings, one of them was red dye and the hazards in food. These are little kids, you guys. This was incredible. Eating healthy foods and not doing drugs. And then the last one was not to be clear cutting or being against clear cutting the rainforests in the Amazon. 10-year-olds. Incredible. So, our future really is bright. We've got some really great kids out there, and it was such a delight to hang out with them and just really, kind of show them around a little bit. Let's see. I had quite a few constituent meetings. I was out of town Saturday and Sunday, so I missed the protest and I missed this other event. But my great aunt turned 94, so we celebrated her with a nice, lovely brunch. And so that was lovely. Let's see. I, too, went to the Lift Up Your Voice and Sing, the MLK celebration. And I just want to say that there's something about that every year. I go every year. And there's something about that really renews my hope in humanity. There's just so much going on and so much thoughtfulness that goes behind that, and all the collaborative people working together to make our community a better place. It's really a beautiful, beautiful thing. And this year, A.V. Powell spoke, and he was talking about being black back, early on. He's old now, and he was talking about like his jobs and when he used to get pulled over just for being black. And there's a lot of people in our community that can't even imagine what that would be like. They can't even imagine what it would be like to walk into the room and be the only black person. And he's such a funny guy. He just laughed the whole time, and it was a really sweet conversation. Couple other things. Betty Chin came to my place of work and spoke to our kids. Those kids were riveted. And I love that about our community, that we have so many people that are so invested in our community and willing to share their stories and benefit each other in healthy ways. So thank you, Betty, for that. I attended the Cooper Gulch Coastal Habitat Connectivity Project of Councilmember Bowers, and Robin and Brittany did a great job presenting and showing all the new things that are happening down there. It's beautiful. Prior to that, I went to the Pack Out Green Team cleanup at the Honey Hole, which is over by Jitterbean. Again, if you've never been to one of those, I really encourage you to go, even if you just go one time to try it. It's so fun hanging out with the community and seeing what's going on. And it's always sometimes like a treasure hunt. Not really. That was not true. And then lastly, two more things. Lastly, we are planning, we're going to be having our town hall for Mental Health Month in May. We are starting the planning on that, which is going to be super exciting. We'll be kicking that off. And then lastly, I'm going to give a phone number. So one of the things that was mentioned yesterday at the Martin Luther King celebration was this idea of, reporting when you notice ice, when you see ice, and not reporting it on social media because that scares people and it may or may not be true. So the phone number to call, there's a team that's actually working on that, is 707-200-8091. And I just really want to thank Centro de Pueblo for being the advocates and moving people forward into safety and really promoting this idea that we are a community and we can stick together and work through this. So that was a lot. Thank you for listening. And we will move on now to our public hearing with Director Millar. Welcome.
Good evening. Tonight's public hearing is an update to the fiscal year 25-26 fee schedule. I've a short summary of the changes in the city manager's department. We've added a new fee for de-escalation training. In community services, we've removed all the fees related to the Cooper Gulch Rec Building. We've added some new fees for the Sequoia Park, Glatt, and T Street clearing. A new fee for Dias Park Group Picnic Area. And we've reduced the preschool program fee by $3. And then there's a new fee at the Sequoia Park Zoo, which is called an access pass. In development services, we have a new tobacco retailer license fee to go along with the ordinance that we passed. In engineering, we've changed a handful of miscellaneous transportation fees. And then we have a new parking lot hourly rate fee. That concludes all the changes to this year's fee schedule. And here is the staff recommendation.
Do we have any questions? Oh, this is a public hearing, by the way. That's important to note. We just opened the public hearing. Councilmember Fernandez.
Just for clarity, as I had said earlier in my report, there is a free de-escalation training tomorrow at the Wharfinger. Can you touch on what this new fee is for, please?
Yes, we'll continue to do the publicly accessible de-escalating training like we always have been, and those will continue. But we've had requests from private businesses that want specific ones to their business, and so we've implemented a fee that accounts for officer staff time, mental health condition staff time, and I believe it's $200 an hour.
Which I think is still a bargain. Thank you.
Councilmember Moulton?
Thank you. Can you clarify why the Cooper Gulch Rec Center fees have been removed? Are we not renting it out anymore?
So the intent, we don't know this for sure yet, but the intent is when we're remodeling City Hall, which hopefully will happen by next year or before June of 2027, that's when these fees will go to. We need a new location for told council meetings, and that was one of the options that we've been thinking of to have council meetings at. It's not set in stone yet.
I can't tell if you're joking or not.
Not joking.
Okie dokie.
Am I joking, Bear? No.
Any further questions? Councilmember
And
Castellano?
we also have not been renting it out either.
Thank you. Councilmember Castellano?
Thank you. I noticed that the tobacco retailer license fee is $125, which seems pretty low for a tobacco license fee. How does that compare to other licensing fees with other kind of sectors and or with other geographic areas?
So I haven't checked, and Director Kenyon may be able to compare it to what the county does, but we do it basically, we can't make money. It's just based on the time that it takes in order to administer the fee. So it's basically code enforcement staff time for processing applications.
Okay. Seeing no further questions, we will open up this public hearing for public comment. Is there anyone here who's come to speak on this item? So you can come on up.
I just wanted
And there's
to,
a copy of the agenda by the door. Right.
If you're wondering when something in particular is going to come up, the paper copy of the agenda has everything in order.
There you go.
I just wanted to ask when this de-escalation training, the free one, is at the Wharfinger. What time is that?
Chief, you know what time the de-escalation training is? At 10?
It's at 8 a.m.
Oh, 8 a.m.
8 a.m. to noon, I believe.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Cooper, did I see you have your hand up?
Yes, this is an odd thing for me to ask for and encourage. It certainly doesn't follow my typical lane of logic, but I'm just trying to look at things objectively as a whole picture. I would like to encourage a lot of gentle consideration for tobacco retailer fees and other things related to increasing the costs of operations for tobacco retailers. The only reason I have such concern is because there are public school resources that are about exclusively funded by tobacco tax that are crashing through the floor right now because of how aggressively high that tax has ridden and how much that has has aggressively disincentivized the purchase of tobacco, which, while it has many benefits, is an extreme hazard until we have other means of funding those school resources and needs for our children. So I would encourage that we take a very cautious look at that subject and maybe how to do some local empowerment of replacing those funds if those taxes are going to continue being so high and other tobacco retailer costs are going to continue being passed on to consumers. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, if there's no one else in chambers that wants to comment on this item, do you see anybody on Zoom?
I see no one on Zoom.
Seeing no one, we will close this public hearing and bring it back to council for a motion and a vote, or a motion and a second discussion. Councilmember Moulton.
I can move staff. I move staff recommendation. I don't need to read this one, right? Okay.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further conversation? Seeing none, please vote.
4 yes votes. Councilmember Contreras Deloche absent. Motion carries.
Thank you. This moves us to our consent calendar. There will be an amendment happening, but let me read through the note about consent calendar, and then we'll move to that. All matters listed under this category are considered to be routine by the City Council and will be enacted by one motion. Pursuant to City Council Resolution 2011-22, if a member of the public would like an item on the consent calendar pulled and discussed separately, the request shall be made to council member prior to the meeting. Unless a specific request is made by a council member, the consent calendar will not be read. There will be no separate discussion of these items. And I defer to Attorney Black for an amendment to G3.
Yes, Mayor. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry, what is the item number on the Dias Park matter? G3, thank you.
Sorry, I didn't have my mic on. G3.
The agenda summary refers to the need to have multiple exceptions to the acceptance of the park, and it's 8 specified exceptions listed in the agenda summary. The recommended language for the motion that would be adopted as part of the consent calendar needs to acknowledge those, and I would request that the the recommended language be changed to accept the Dias Park improvement project performed by Builder Solutions, Inc. That's all as is in the agenda summary, but then add the language subject to the exceptions listed in the agenda summary. So a very clerical and simple amendment.
And as a point of order, do we need to vote on that separately, or can we just add that to the calendar?
You can just add that to the consent calendar.
Great. So that moved us to the consent calendar. Can we get a motion?
I move to approve the consent calendar with the additions from City Attorney Black.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Please vote.
4 yes votes. Councilmember Contreras Deloche absent. Motion carries.
Okay, this moves us to legislative action correspondence. Councilmember Bauer has something. Anyone else? Oh, Councilmember Castellano, why don't you go first while he's looking?
Sure. I'm sure probably many of us want to bring this one forward, but there's as was mentioned in council reports, there's a very time-sensitive issue going before the Bureau of Ocean Energy Management regarding leasing the outer continental shelf, including leasing areas off of Humboldt County that could open as early as 2029. And those letters are due on the 23rd, and so I would love for the city of Eureka to write an opposition letter.
Great. So we have consensus on that. And then Councilmember Bauer, did you have something?
So you're basically, we can do that as soon as possible, right? I mean, that's the intent. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. And then in relation to that, and this is kind of a challenging thing, but I think there's some, not really time restriction, but AB 1536, I believe, it's what we call a spot bill, introduced by Assemblymember Addis, and it would coordinate, basically try and prevent further offshore oil drilling. So I want to support that, even though that, that it's still to be fleshed out, the actual bill language. But I don't know if we wanted something to put it on for next, probably could do it in 2 weeks. But a letter of support for that once that bill should be better fleshed out too, come next meeting. Thank you.
And we have consensus. So generally, we take our break at 8 p.m., but we do have two other items that may be lengthy. So I think what we'll do is we'll take our break now and come back and do our reports and action items and then ordinances and resolutions. So we'll be back in about 6 minutes or 7. And gender affirming healthcare resolution. Director Slattery.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and Council. This item was brought up at our November 18th council meeting. Council requested staff to bring forward a resolution declaring the city of Eureka as a sanctuary city for transgender and gender affirming healthcare. So staff has prepared a resolution. There has been a request, 2 requests that council can consider. One was the 12th whereas currently reads, a majority of U.S. adults agree that transgender minors should have access to gender affirming care. The request is to change that to whereas gender affirming care involves comprehensive social, psychological, and medical support, and access to such evidence-based care for minors is best determined through a private patient-physician-parent relationship rather than political intervention. The other requests, while the title of the resolution references the city being a sanctuary city for transgender folks, there's not a whereas that addresses that. And so that could be something that staff could add to if that's what council chooses to do. But if that staff is available for any questions.
Great. Do we have any questions from council? Councilmember Moulton?
Okay. Thank you, City Manager Slattery, for that brief update. I think both of those sound very reasonable, but we'll get to comments. I did want to address some of the concerns, or at least one concern. Is there a fiscal impact to this resolution?
No, currently right now, no. We have not had any funding or anything. We did become, we were part of the class action suit that council is aware of for DEI, for diversity, equity, and inclusion programs, that the federal government was withholding funds for certain entities. That hasn't happened to us yet, but we entered it because it potentially could. But as far as us being a sanctuary city, whether it was for transgender or for undocumented citizens, we have not lost any funding.
I wasn't aware that there was any threat to funding. I mean, I guess this would fall under DEI, wouldn't it? But that's really more as an employer thing.
Potentially could, yeah.
Interesting. I had another one. I'll have to articulate it. Pardon me. That's all for the moment.
Great. Any other questions while she's putting together her question. Councilmember Fernandez?
I mean, for the sake of just borrowing some time for Councilmember Moulton. Okay. I'm curious then, at least following that, how much staff time has gone into putting together this resolution?
I put it together with the help of some public comment that had happened, as well as, to be honest, ChatGPT.
Mm-hmm.
So no, it was 30 minutes, maybe.
So 30 minutes, and full time is 2,080 hours. So we're talking about less than a percentage of time to put this.
And then and then of course the review, and the city attorney reviews it, assistant city manager reviews it.
So maybe an hour.
Approximately.
Yeah.
I don't know, Pam, pretty slow reader, so maybe 45 minutes.
Yeah, again, just wanting to get an idea, because I know it feels like we've had, again, that's commenting. I'll wait until later, but yes, thank you for that.
Thank you. Councilmember Moulton.
I just wanted to sort of sum this up in a nutshell, and you can tell me if I've got this correct. When we talk about being a sanctuary city, it's about the city of Eureka, or the council here has control over the city's budget. So we aren't, so what we are doing is declaring what the city can and cannot spend resources on. In this case, we're declaring that the city cannot spend resources to support the persecution of trans people by other municipalities and other places. Am I characterizing that?
I don't know about by other municipalities, but state or federal.
So it's, I wish that we could actively protect people, but it's more like we are refusing to actively participate in harming people.
Expending resources for
Spending
that purpose.
Thank you.
Councilmember Castellano.
And to, just to that question, we also won't go after organizations that support people seeking gender affirming care. Like we won't restrict those organizations, or the things like that would also be within the power of a city.
Yes. That may be an Attorney Black question.
Yes, I think that is unquestionably correct.
Great. Any further questions from council? Seeing none, we will open this item up for public comment. Come on up. And if you are here to speak on this item, you can line up on either side of the room, and we will call you up in order. Hello again.
Hello. I'm Miss Cooper, a local trans mom. Firstly, peers and allies. To be clear, this is not a law. This is a resolution, not a binding ordinance, but a formal opinion. It offers no legal protection of us, our care, nor our sensitive private information. You cannot stop a federal subpoena with an opinion. Characterizing these resolutions as protections or sanctuary or even support is legally dishonest. Secondly, the compliance loophole. Section 3 explicitly states the city will not share data unless required by state or federal law. That is the issue. This is not a shield. This is a pre-authorization to surrender. It signals to the FBI and states with those fleeing to us for gender-affirming care that the moment they have a subpoena, you will comply. California SB 107 already protects us in the ways that this resolution pretends to. Weaving this loophole in is an explicit refusal to protect us from the feds. This is neither an additional layer of defense nor a stepping stone to more. Thirdly, the real danger. Passing this in this state creates a false sense of security in us and a false sense of trust in our representatives. We're riling up threats on our street. It paints a target on our backs for them to vent their rage or pull political stunts, while leaving us legally defenseless to deal with the inevitable spike in local hostilities, a reality that my 5-year-old and I have to navigate every single day we step outside our home or ride the bus. Please table this resolution. It hurts so much to ask for that, but I ask you to send it back to staff, remove the Section 3 loophole, and turn this into a binding ordinance. I fear this effort has been co-opted by those who are afraid of liability, but remain eager to use my community for a PR win as if they took risk all along. Don't use us for a press release. Give us actual protection. In closing, they say follow the money. I've done so, and what I have found has shaken me to my core. I welcome local leaders and advocates in the media to reach out to me at coopersprojects@gmail.com.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is V. Loring, and I would like to speak in support of this resolution. First, I would like to thank the city council members and the mayor for taking up this matter and for considering it seriously. It does feel good to know that other people are also alarmed by the cruel and vindictive turn of our political culture against trans people, and that they're eager to do something to resist it. And secondly, I'd like to be clear about what this resolution does and doesn't do. It does make clear that we will not share information about our trans neighbors with people who would wish to do them harm. And it does protect our doctors and clinics from attempts to surveil and punish them for providing gender-affirming care. It doesn't give trans people any special rights or privileges in Eureka, or change anything about our schools or how the city handles trans children. And it does not conflict with any state or federal law. This is a resolution that I believe anyone in this community should be able to support, regardless of how they feel about trans people or other issues. The sanctuary this resolution provides is not any kind of special rights. It simply provides space for us to work out our differences as a community without oppressive pressure from outside. I think we can agree that that's what's best for all of us. Fundamentally, I believe that this is about defending what we already have, a city that I am proud to be a part of, a city that is neighborly and close-knit while remaining welcoming to new people. As others have said better, or will say better, this is a very rare and wonderful thing and a credit to our community. It is something we should preserve and strengthen because I believe it is one of the great advantages we possess. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up, Pat. Oh, let me lower that for you.
No, it's okay. Hi there. Yes, I am here because I support this resolution. And like a former commenter said, I do not believe, however, that this is PR. I'm a nurse, and I'm very, very much in favor of the fact that our whole community is coming out with a resolution for the most vulnerable people in society, and one of them is trans people. So thank you very much for this. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up. Welcome.
Hi. I'm Pippa Coulter. I'm a local pediatrician. I'm just speaking on behalf of myself and not my employer. I wanted to address two things. One, you may have heard from some of your constituents. I saw some comments online on social media with people with concerns about providing care for minors. And I want to assure you that this has been thoroughly studied. One resource you could provide constituents is the Utah study that was commissioned. They expected to find that it was, that they could recommend to the legislature that it not be illegal in the state, but what they found was that the evidence was overwhelming that it's safe and effective to provide gender-affirming care to children and teens. Just read one section. It said, "It is our expert opinion that policies to prevent access to and use of gender-affirming hormone treatment for treatment of gender dysphoria in pediatric patients cannot be justified." The policies to prevent access cannot be justified. And so Utah chose to ignore the findings of their own commission, but it's turned into a very valuable resource. I provided my email, my personal email, in case any of you have any questions. If you ever want to contact me, I'm happy to tell you what I think or to try to find the answer for you. And then the second thing I wanted to address was safety. This is not a safe time. There is no way that we can look at what's going on around us and say things are safe. They're not safe. I feel in danger doing my job, even though it's legal. I feel my patients are in danger. And so this is a beautiful resolution. It's not going to take away all of that danger. It's a dangerous time. But I always think about what one of my friends who was the patient safety officer with the Joint Commission said several years ago when he was talking to physicians about patient safety, that he wasn't here just to try to get us to meet a metric, that the point of all of that was that we were supposed to love our patients. And so to love our patients means to provide them with the best care, even when it's not safe for us to be brave. And this is the time to do that. This is the time for the city to be brave. And so for me, this resolution is more like what Dr. Cornell West said, that justice is what love looks like in public. And so I thank you for considering this resolution.
Thank you. Come on up. Welcome.
Thank you, and thanks, Dr. Coulter. Hi, I'm Kylie Finch, 3rd Ward. I want to really sincerely thank the council for asking for this to be brought forward by city staff, and I really want to thank City Manager Slattery for the really well thought out couple of additional comments that he just made in regards to those changed wordings. I did want to point out a couple of things that didn't make it into the draft resolution, at least the version that was posted or made available through the city agenda. And I wanted to bring those forward for consideration. In the actual resolutions themselves, what it does come down to, the bottom line that is being resolved, that nothing in this section shall prohibit investigation of criminal activity, etc., and that severability is intended throughout, etc. It does seem enlarged that this resolution is based perhaps partially on what was passed by Sacramento in 2024, which has several additional parts to it. And I'm going to use this moment to read a couple of them now. These are things that didn't make it into our resolution that I hope could be considered by the city council. That the city council and the city reiterate their commitment to transgender rights and equal protection for the transgender community members, and declare itself a sanctuary city and a place of safety for transgender people. That the city recognizes the importance of gender-affirming healthcare as a matter of health, privacy, and equity to ensure the greatest extent permitted by law, that those rights are upheld for all residing within the city. That no city resources, including but not limited to time spent by employees, officers, contractors, or subcontractors while on duty, or the use of city property, shall be used for detaining persons for seeking or providing gender-affirming care, nor the aiding of it, which includes such activities as gender affirmation surgery or gender hormone therapy. That no city resources shall be utilized for cooperating with or providing information to any individual or out-of-state agency or department regarding the provision of lawful gender-affirming healthcare or gender-affirming mental health care performed in the state of California. That that is most of it. So while the two resolutions that we took from Sacramento were largely the dressing, the meat is gone. We've got the garnish, but not the meal. And I hope that's something we can go back and look at the work previously done by our larger sister city in Sacramento and readdress. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Come on up.
Okay, I am tall
Hello.
enough. Hi, good evening, Eureka City Council. My name is MC Chavez. You may know me, you may not know me, but you will. I start with gratitude for your time tonight. I stand here to support this resolution. As a queer constituent of this city, I stand here before you as a lived experience. To me, the importance of a transgender sanctuary city is a verbal/city commitment that this community is a safe space for transgender, queer, LGBTQ plus folk, that this city is committed to the recognition of their livelihoods, and it is a valiant stand against the oppression that is happening in this country today. While it is plausible that there could be conflicts of larger protection towards healthcare professionals or even the queer community living up here on a federal level, which we will cross that bridge as we continue to move along with the current administration that we unfortunately are under, by beginning this process, can we take the necessary steps forward to protect our people and, sorry, I lost my little thing, and those who provide them with life-saving care, and continue to have conversations about what that protection looks like. As a human being to another human being, I implore you to stand by your community members. It is imperative that we stand together. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hello,
Welcome.
my name is Mark Walker. I'm a resident of Eureka, and I'm here to speak in support of the Sanctuary City for Transgender People and Gender Affirming Healthcare resolution. I have noticed this is a topic that generates a great deal of venom. We may have all noticed this. So I'm trying to echo many people here when I say I very much appreciate you taking it on. I'll be brief. We simply cannot have a society where it is acceptable to carve out certain segments of the population as being okay to persecute, discriminate, or deny necessary medical care to. It's an argument we never seem to stop having as a nation, and I'm not sure why. This resolution is a small thing. It's just Eureka in Humboldt County, a remote and underserved part of California. But it is our community, and if we cannot begin to stand with all members of our local community, the people who are our actual physical neighbors, who can we stand with? Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, welcome.
Hi, my name is Vincent Faulkner, and I am speaking in favor of this resolution. Pardon me, it's my first time in City Council.
You're doing great.
On November 5th, 2024, I was working at a plastics manufacturing plant in Wisconsin. I was a night shift worker surrounded by openly bigoted coworkers hiding my trans identity. Not out of shame for who I was, I like who I am, but out of fear. I'd hear employers constantly claiming that they protect me, that they didn't tolerate bigotry, but the second any sort of issue started coming up, I lost a lot of good jobs. I had given up on ever being openly queer in Wisconsin. Coworkers would use my legal name to provoke me into arguments. I was tolerated with suspicion as if transgender ideology were an infectious and disfiguring disease. I've had a supervisor tell me to my face that people like me deserve to be rounded up and shot. To find joy in being trans and queer was a fantasy. My life was one of lonely survival. Keep your head down, stay quiet, and be grateful for what you're given. I remember going to the bathroom again that night, checking the phone to see what the election results were. I remember shaking in a way I've never felt before, because I just knew things were never going to be the same again. I knew for certain on that night, like many trans people, that things were going to change across the country, so I made the difficult decision to leave everything I've ever known. I said goodbye to my family, I got rid of my lease, and I moved 2,000 miles in the course of 4 days in a tiny little car because I couldn't afford a hotel. It is the best thing I've ever done. I have found someplace I didn't know actually existed. Humboldt County has been full of nothing but the most kind and supportive people here. I've made so many friends, getting so many opportunities to just be Vincent and not a freak. It's so strange just going around and seeing people openly talk about having husbands, going to Arcata and always finding some lesbian at the taco truck. Just people being able to dress however they want and not be shamed for it or, God forbid, attacked. I am so glad I took the chance to be out here, to come out here and be brave, to roll the dice and start over in Humboldt. And now I want other people like me, other trans people that don't have what I have, to have a chance to start over again. Eureka is already a trans sanctuary city in spirit. Might as well put it on paper. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Deborah Dukes again.
Hi, Deborah.
I'm an ally, and the way things are going right now, I think we're all going to need both to have allies and to be allies. I keep thinking about the quote from the Reverend Martin Niemöller from right after World War II that starts, first they came for the communists and I wasn't a communist, and ends with, then they came for me and there was nobody left to speak up. I'm speaking up, and I hope you will speak up. Thank you.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hello, City Council. My name is Dakota. I'm a member of the YDSA, and I just wanted to show my support for the resolution. There have been many recent attacks across red and even blue states against trans people, including the bathroom bans, leading to a arrest of a trans lady in Florida. While this resolution is also going to be pretty good PR for the city, and I fully support it, it could also lead to more transgender people moving here, and hopefully urging that you get this through, because I know some people who would very much like to get this passed out of state. Another thing is to look at places like Sacramento, as another commenter put, as a guide for the resolution. Is an amazing idea. I'm also not biased. I am from Sacramento, but but I urge you to please pass this resolution, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Come on up.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Sam. And honestly, I don't believe in trans rights. I don't get trans rights. But what I do believe in is human rights. I believe in equity. When this nation was founded, it was founded on the principle of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Now, we've gone a long way from there. When this nation was founded, basically, if you weren't me, you couldn't vote. You had to be a white man. You had to be a landowner. Now women can vote. Now, as of 1950s, even Native Americans can vote. Gay people can get married. We have to move forward, and we cannot move back. We are perfectly fine with gender-affirming care. Women get boob jobs, butt lifts. Men get all sorts of things done to their tackle box. If you lose a ball, they'll stick in a prosthetic one for you. We're also perfectly okay with gender-affirming surgery for children. In fact, 1 in 2,000 to 5,000 infants are born intersex. These children are surgically altered. This happens every day. But for some reason, if an adult or even a teenager wants to have gender-affirming care, this is a horror. The reactionary right is always going to try to pull us back. If we don't fight for our trans brothers and sisters, who are we going to fight for? We're going to fight for the gays, the women, the Native Americans, the blacks? Or in 20 years, am I going to be up here yelling and screaming for you to protect the Mormons and the Catholics? Let's make a stand now.
Thank you. Come on up. Hi.
Hello, I'm Camille Charette, and this is Percy, who just wanted to stand up here for support. I'm here tonight because I support Eureka becoming a transgender sanctuary city, and I want to explain why this matters to me as a member of this community. I live in Eureka, and I'm a librarian at Cal Poly Humboldt. In my work, I serve students from many backgrounds, identities, and life experiences. One of the core values of librarianship is access to information, to support, and to spaces where people are treated with dignity and respect. For students to learn and contribute fully, they have to feel safe, not only on campus, but in the community they live in. When students choose to come to school here, they're also choosing Eureka. And if transgender students and transgender community members of all ages are worried about whether they can safely access healthcare, that affects their ability to thrive. And when people can't thrive, the entire community feels the impact. Protecting community members' right to healthcare and human dignity is not a niche issue, it's foundational. Healthcare access allows people to stay healthy, to learn, and to care for others. Dignity allows people to participate openly in civic life and to feel a sense of belonging. When we protect these rights for the most vulnerable among us, we strengthen the well-being and resilience of the whole community. Declaring Eureka a transgender sanctuary city sends a clear message that this is a place where people are valued for who they are, not targeted for who they are. And it tells students considering Cal Poly that this is a community that aligns with the values of inclusion and care. It tells families, workers, and elders that their neighbors and local leaders are committed to protecting basic human rights. Declaring Eureka a transgender sanctuary city is about ensuring that everyone has the same opportunity to live safely and be treated with respect. As a librarian, I believe knowledge flourishes in environments where people feel secure and supported. And as a community member, I believe Eureka is strongest when we stand up for one another. Supporting Eureka as a transgender sanctuary city is a commitment to welcoming our neighbors, supporting our students, and investing in the long-term health and vitality of our community. Thank you for listening, and thank you for considering what kind of city we want Eureka to be.
Thank you. Come on up. No, you're up. You're up. Hello again.
Hi there. Thank you. Yes, first of all, I'd like to mention and say I love all transgender people. I love all the transgender folks here today. And one of my best friends I just found out is transgender, and we go disc golfing all the time, maybe a few times a month. And I love this person with all my heart, one of my best friends. A girl I was in a long-term relationship with, she had a transgender teenager. She was, and I loved them too. She had fostered this kid and then eventually adopted her. I'm not here to judge or condemn any transgender person. I'm here to bear witness to the truth and call awareness to the truth and a desperate plea for repentance. I think this is a dangerous precedent and an example for our children. It is written, a woman must not wear men's clothes, and a man must not wear woman's clothes. That is disgusting to your Lord your God. It is written, so God created humans in his own image. He created them to be like himself. He created them male and female. It is written, surely you know that people who do wrong will not get to enjoy God's kingdom. Don't be fooled. These are the people who will not get to enjoy his kingdom. Those who sin sexually, those who worship idols, those who commit adultery, men who let other men use them for sex, or who have sex with other men, those who steal, those who are greedy, those who drink too much, those who abuse others with insults, and those who cheat. It is written, men, you must not have sexual relations with another man, as with a woman. That is a terrible sin. It is written, if a man has sexual relations with another man as with a woman, they have committed a terrible sin. They must be put to death. They are responsible for their own death. I am calling awareness to the living God, Jesus Christ. And that is all. Thank you.
Thank you. We have anybody on this side? Come on up. Oh, Percy, I'm so glad you're here.
Hello, my name is Xandra, and Percy's here to provide me some support as well. So yes, my name is Xandra. I am a transgender woman who lives in Eureka, and I am a very proud a sinner. And I am here to speak in favor of this resolution. I appreciate that you've taken the time and energy to speak up in support and protection for our community, which has been under severe attack across this country. I did want to add 2 comments. First, I wanted to speak in favor of replacing the 12th whereas statement, as mentioned by City Manager Slattery. The public opinion has been wielded as a club against our community for as long as we fought openly for our rights. And it is not smart to give credence to the ability of public opinion to sway and determine our human rights, and the rights and dignity that we should all be afforded. So I wanted to offer my appreciation for that particular proposed change. The second comment I wanted to make is to request and recommend that when we discuss transgender people in this resolution, that you explicitly expand that definition to include those who are gender non-conforming, which is a broader umbrella that very clearly affirms support and sanctuary for our entire community, including genderqueer, non-binary, and agender members, to name just a few of the many communities that make up our broader gender non-conforming community. So thank you again for your time and effort to help stand by our families in this very frightening time.
Thank you. Come on up.
I won't lie, when I wrote some of this semi-frantically and last minute over the last day and a half, kind of based around a lot of online commentary, your loco comment section, KCRS, whoever's reporting it. I would just like to start my comment off. You see a lot of people criticize the trans community around women's safety, and I would just wanted to say that a man who wants to harass and assault a woman does not need to pretend to be trans in order to do so. They just do it and hope that their allies in patriarchy who hold positions of power will decry their victim as hysterical, where perpetrators can remain more calm, when like law enforcement arrives, right? I support this resolution. I kind of stand to hearing this, and I'm not personally trans, but coming out as queer or bisexual as a teenager. I had adult men come to my high school graduation to threaten physical violence, yet they were the ones dating underage women in my class at that time. I support fully the idea to put forward sanctuary status. The first woman who spoke sounded like she had a couple reservations about I think it's a good start. I was expecting a lot more kind of outcry, so I'm kind of like sort of real-time backpedaling right now. Look, everyone benefits when we uplift the smallest peoples in our groups. Not all cisgender women are going to fall neatly into the binary of what we see in what a man should look like or what a woman should look like. There is a camaraderie between how you view your womanhood or your manhood, and not neatly falling into certain lines and words, and cool.
Thank you. Come on up. There you go.
Hi, I'm here. Why you think I'm here, but I'm sorry, it's on topic. Sanctuary is a demonstrated capacity to protect the rights to dignity, privacy, and bodily autonomy, not just in clinics and public restrooms, but in our own homes. You have demonstrated how you handle when human rights are violated on your own oversight and equipment. You claim to value non-carceral justice. You took full advantage of the archaic statute of limitations codified long before the age of digital permanence and facial recognition. I didn't want to share this today or ever in case he decides to dox me next time, but it's relevant to the agenda item. The reason why I never gave consent for your senior IT analyst to record me in private without my awareness is because the way my body exists outside the binary is deeply private information. I do not use cloud servers. I do not create identifying intimate media in any capacity because no corporation can be trusted not to hand such information to our current administration. I trusted your employee, Derek Howard, to bring his work phone into my bedroom so he could remotely reroute your modems or whatnot.
So this item is about the resolution? Is this, you're going there? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Just clarifying that.
Well, I thought he was just holding your phone. He was creating fully identifiable videos of my body, granting Google a broad license to do as it pleases with them before I knew they existed. Derek cannot fathom what it is like to fear for your safety because of the way your body is, just like he couldn't fathom what it's like to feel afraid of people knowing your ethnicity and the generational trauma, always making sure our passport's in order when he chose to broadcast my ethnicity. My safety, privacy, and autonomy never crossed Derek's mind whenever he acted on his impulses. You gave him a portable surveillance device, the freedom to conceal operations, told him to hide it better next time. Sent your associate here to declare I was just asking for it, for him to take away a sense of safety I can never recover. Councilmember Moulton, last week you felt moved to say you're afraid for your LGBT constituents. You want us to feel safe, and you're disturbed by survivors bravely seeking justice, so far to no avail. There's no sanctuary in the fact that this will happen again to other young queer or disabled people, only as a result of my seeking justice. Did he discover you got his back so long as he does it on his work phone? Counselor, did you mean you are disturbed when we seek justice? What is it that compels you to condemn dereliction of duty only when it falls outside your jurisdiction? It may seem ironic if you're missing the point. You cannot simply identify as a sanctuary and expect people to start feeling safe. So I'm asking you to show integrity and vote no on the resolution as it is currently written.
Thank you. Is there anyone else in chambers that wants to comment on this item? Okay, seeing no one. Do you see anybody on Zoom?
Marley?
Hello. My name is Marley Nelson. I am one of the co-chairs of the local Democratic Socialists of America chapter, and I would like to speak in favor of this resolution. As others have said, in some ways this resolution could be more protective, and I would urge council to maybe investigate those avenues. This is a very important thing to do for our transgender community. People do seem to be strangely mystified by trans folks. I've known many trans folks, friends, step-parents, even an ex-partner. Shout out to Elias, wherever you're at. And they're just normal people. They are normal people. They deserve access to the medical care that they need that is life-saving and is evidence-based just as much as the rest of us. And at the end of the day, I want to see the local transgender community be able to access their healthcare and have the same right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness as I do, or at least as I would like to under a different administration. So thank you in advance for your support of this resolution.
Thank you. Do you see anybody else?
Resident of Ward 2.
Mayor and Council, I am a cisgender man. This is a label that, while I suppose is accurate, society has placed on me. This label sadly comes with it various advantages over most other people, including cis women, trans men, trans women, and those with no gender at all. This does not mean that I am always better off than any of these other people, only that I have a handful of advantages that others might not. Advantages which don't always materialize, but often do. I'm also gay, as is my fiance, which I have apparently misspelled as finance. My fiance, is also cisgender, though he could certainly be described as gender nonconforming. The reasons for my support of this resolution, or perhaps a strengthened version, are numerous, but I'll provide two here tonight. The first is something which should be shared by all persons, a simple respect and acknowledgement of the humanity of those persons who fit under the transgender umbrella, the basic measure of respect which all human beings should enjoy, a respect which is sadly lacking from many of our neighbors. The second is less important than the first. It is more pragmatic and more utilitarian for both myself and my fiance. Recent pushes to infringe on the basic civil liberties of our transgender friends are particularly worrying because we've seen this story before. Authoritarians around the world all tend to follow the same playbook. Once the T's go, the G's, the G's, L's, and B's are next, especially G's like my fiance and myself who have complicated relationships with the cisgender label. This is not paranoia, this is history. We must do all we can to stop this as soon as possible, not only for the benefit of our transgender neighbors, but people who may not even realize that they are next, as the poet and Reverend Martin Niemöller realized too late, as previous commenter Ms. Dukes has already referenced. I'd like to close by addressing accusations of virtue signaling, which I have seen thrown around in relation not only to this resolution, but other actions by this council. I think that the best way to address that is by quoting words spoken in chambers early last year. I love it when people accuse us or me of virtue signaling, as though displaying your ideals and your principles is somehow a bad thing. So the virtues that I would like to signal right now are compassion and humanity. I would like to communicate to all the members of our community that they are valued, that they deserve equal access to opportunity and equal protection under the law, that I'm grateful that you are here. I'm grateful that we're here with you. I'm grateful that my human family is so big and diverse. Thank you.
Thank you.
There's somebody that is under iPhone with their hand raised. Okay. Beth?
Hi, good evening, City Council. I'm here to speak against this idea of a sanctuary city. There's no way that a child can be born in the wrong body. There's no way a boy can become a woman or a girl can become a man. Just because a man gets aroused wearing female clothing doesn't make him a woman. The idea that right now Eureka City is, I guess, considering is that we can tell children that they can sterilize themselves with blockers and hormones, and they can cut off their healthy body parts. Right now, girls in California commonly are having their breast removed. It's called top surgery at the ages of 13, 14, 15 years old. Oftentimes, these girls have been sexually assaulted growing up. These are girls that might be autistic, girls that are just quirky and sensitive. And for whatever reason, they don't want to become women. And when I was 14 years old, I felt the same way. I didn't want my body changing. I didn't want my breasts growing. I didn't want men gazing at me. So the idea that we would ever possibly believe that humans can change their sex because they're uncomfortable in their bodies is the most insane idea that I've ever could imagine would happen in modern times. The idea that right now in California, we have boys competing in girls' sports at the high school level, at the CIF level. There is now, I don't know, we have no idea of how many boys are taking away scholarships and medals and the safety and the dignity and the privacy of girls in the locker rooms in Eureka. I mean, how insane it is that this city council wants to say that it doesn't matter if you're a girl or you're a woman, that you have to let any delusional boy or man into your space because that's what makes them feel good. That the feelings of men are more important than the safety of women is just an insane idea. Most
if not all European countries have ended the medicalizing of young people because no child can consent to being sterilized or losing their healthy body parts. So Eureka, I'm just begging you, please protect women, protect children, protect vulnerable adults. Nobody's transgender. It is not possible to change your sex. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth.
iPhone with your hand raised.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm Ryan. I was just wanting to share my support for this resolution and any changes that can approve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Tucker.
Hi, thank you so much. I wanted to just speak in support of the trans community and defer to some of the wisdom of people who have looked into this particular resolution more deeply than I have, but to verbalize support for protection for gender affirming care. And I also am concerned about the language change. And I'm sorry I can't reference the exact wording for what that was called, but the idea that it changed from the wording of it is agreed upon that this is important, it was shifted to we're going to let individuals and their providers decide what is right, which sounds good, except the little bit in there about not politicizing is political. And it wasn't a political statement the way it was worded before, but saying that a general consensus is political, that addition of the word political is a deflection because the new phrasing is political. It takes it away from being an agreed upon consensus and casts doubt into the knowledge of the professionals that we trust with our healthcare. And again, just, and I also want to support the idea that I understand that there can be fear around these things, and anybody who, has fear around these things, I just encourage, their openness and conversation, and I have compassion for their concerns.
Thank you.
I see no one else on Zoom.
Okay, seeing no one else, we will close this public comment and bring it back to council for a motion and discussion. Councilmember Fernandez.
I will move that we accept. Oh, sorry. I will move that we accept the amendment suggested by City Manager Slattery, removing the portion that says rather than political intervention, and then adding as part of the resolved, moving the resolves that we currently have on there to positions 3 and 4 and inserting 2 new resolves at the top. The first being, now therefore be it resolved that the City Council and the City of Eureka is committed to the human rights, equal protections, and dignities afforded to each person in its community, and declares itself a sanctuary city and a place of safety for transgender people. And, second resolved, therefore be it resolved that no city resources, including but not limited to time spent by employees, officers, contractors, or subcontractors while on duty, or the use of city property, shall be utilized for detaining persons for seeking or providing gender-affirming care, nor the aiding of it. And
I'll second, and I have a friendly amendment as well. Yeah. In the third from the bottom, okay, so City Manager Slattery suggested taking out, whereas a majority of taking out the clause about the whereas about public opinion. A majority of U.S. adults agree transgender minors should have access to gender-affirming care. Was that the 12th whereas you said? Yeah. So in the 13th whereas, I think we should remove the phrase "in the city of Eureka" from the end, so that it reads, whereas it is necessary and appropriate to exercise the authority vested in the Charter of the City of Eureka, including the coordinated and integrated direction, supervision, and control of all City of Eureka departments, boards, commissions to protect healthcare professionals and persons lawfully seeking, receiving, and assisting another individual in seeking or receiving of gender-affirming healthcare, period.
Semicolon, but yeah.
Semicolon, thank you, sorry. And then in the 11th, whereas, changing the word should to shall, so that it reads, whereas healthcare professionals providing as well as persons seeking, receiving, or assisting another individual who is seeking or receiving gender-affirming healthcare in the City of Eureka shall be protected from attempts to impose criminal punishment, civil liability, administrative penalties, etc., rather than should, which is just a statement of, desire. Shall means we actually have to. And then anywhere, there's most of this, it seems to me, is about gender affirming care, which is not specific to trans people as opposed to, or at the exclusion of non-binary or non-gender conforming folks. But wherever it does say transgender, I think we should also add gender non-conforming as a general term. I think that's all I had. Those three, yes.
Yeah, I'll accept those friendly amendments. You got all that, city manager? We got a recording.
I can give you my notes too.
It's recorded.
Yeah. Okay.
Councilmember Castellano.
I actually think in the 13th whereas that it's powerful to leave the word City of Eureka but put "and any other location" instead of removing the word City of Eureka. So I would make a friendly amendment
to my friendly amendment.
To your friendly amendment to keep the healthcare in the City of Eureka and then add "and in any other location."
Fair enough. I can accept that.
And at this point, we're at stylistic choices, so I'll take it.
Okay.
Any further comments or questions? Councilmember Moulton?
I don't know if this is a totally appropriate moment, but I feel like there is an opportunity here for public education when it comes to the difference between gender, sex, and sexuality. And I have a lovely little model that I've been taught and that I use to teach people, which is the pants model. And that is that your biological sex is the parts that are in your pants. And your gender is the pants you wear to feel like yourself. And your sexuality is whatever you do or do not want to do with the parts that are in your pants. So, just wanted to take the opportunity to say that.
Thank you. So, further comments? Councilmember Fernandez.
So close. Yes, Mayor. I know it's getting later. So I know we've, and it's been touched on in public comment too tonight, previously, over the last year and since the election. It is virtue signaling because we are giving a statement of our values, and there's only so much that we can do up here from this dais to begin with. And that's why you'll often hear me, cite the refrain of like, what is it that we can do for ourselves? What is it that we can do for each other? And I will say, at least for me, something that I had posted yesterday as well, with it being Martin Luther King Jr. Day, taking from his quotes and putting it into some of my own words. There is an urgent moral need for direct action and civil disobedience against the injustices of our country. And that includes the deportations without due process, the summary execution of protesters, unprovoked military actions. And so we need to advocate for radical justice and be the extremists for love and justice. And the quote, which I took to design my language in that, is from his letters from Birmingham jail, which include, "We can never forget that everything Hitler did in Germany was legal, and everything the Hungarian freedom fighters did in Hungary was illegal. It was illegal to aid and comfort a Jew in Hitler's Germany, but I am sure that if I had lived in Germany during that time, I would have aided and comforted my Jewish brothers, even though it was illegal. If I had lived in a communist country today where certain principles dear to the Christian faith are suppressed, I believe I would openly advocate disobeying these anti-religious laws."
Thank you. So, Councilmember Moulton?
Sorry, I just wanted to make a comment on the idea of PR, like the idea that we are aggrandizing ourselves by making this declaration, by making this resolution, because I don't really care what folks think about me or us. I care what trans people think about themselves and their community. Attitude and messages are important. It was just over 2 years ago that Nex Benedict, a non-binary teenager, was beaten to within an inch of their life in their school bathroom in a state with bathroom law. And I can't help but think that it was the attitude of leadership written into law that made those teenagers feel like that was okay. And I don't think that was okay. Later, after their injuries, Nex succumbed to the main killer of trans teenagers, which is self-harm, suicide. Trans teenagers commit suicide at a rate 7 times that of their peers. And anything we can do to show them that they are valued in this community is right by me. That's all.
Thank you. Are there any further comments? Please vote.
4 yes votes. Councilmember Contreras Delosha absent. Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. All right, so this moves us to strategic visioning with City Manager Slattery.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening again, Mayor and Council. If Oz could put up the PowerPoint, that would be great. So, staff met with council back on September 6th to go through strategic visioning. We hired Karen Deemer to facilitate that. Prior to that public meeting, she met with all of you guys to get your take on what the process should be, and she also met with all the department heads and some of the upper management in city staff. So we met on the 6th, ended up having the same 4 priority areas being picked for strategic visioning. We ended up with priorities areas of effective governance, economic development and communications, community pride, and health and safety. So we came up with a vision statement to guide this process, which is Eureka is a historic city embracing the future while honoring its natural ancestral heritage, where safety, inclusivity, sustainability, and innovation converge to create a vibrant and thriving community for all. So our first area was effective governance. The goals is to enhance public meetings effectiveness through stronger community outreach and clearly defined roles for elected officials, boards, commissions, committees, and staff. Each one of the priority areas, there were suggestions for tasks to be done in order to meet the goals of each of the area, and then they were voted on, and we came up with a list of tasks. So under the effective governance, I've gone through all of them before in the past, and it ended up being very long, but I'll just highlight a few of them. One of the major ones was to look at the city charter for updates, and so we'll be coming back to you guys in the near future here to discuss that process and what that looks like. Another area that we wanted to look at is to adopt our local coastal program. This was mentioned in the fisherman report that Michael gave, and it is definitely priority that will be coming to you guys sometime this year. And then also coming to you guys by March is the inland zoning code and updating those regulations associated with that. The next area is economic development communications. The goals is to expand housing options and expand economic development by supporting sustainable local businesses through streamlined permitting, updated zoning, and inclusive business growth. Some of the tasks associated with that is to look at the establishment of a healthcare special district. I'll be working with Chief Citro, who plans on helping me out a lot for this. Oh, it's great. He's not here. So Citro, if it doesn't get done soon, you can blame it on him. Just joking. Then also the development of the Housing Trust Fund. We've reported this to council. We do have funds set aside and plan to continue into that Housing Trust Fund all of the transaction and occupancy tax that we get from vacation rentals to go into that to help keep funding it. We have an application out with the state right now and waiting to hear back from them about whether or not that fund is going to be matched. And then there is the sugar tax that we are researching currently, and we'll be bringing something back in the near future for council. The next area is community pride. The goal of community pride is increase community pride through beautification of residential, commercial, and public spaces, effectively deliver outreach and programming that promotes all the community pride services provided by the city and encourages diversity and equity for all. Some of the highlighted tasks on there is to develop a parks master plan. That will be coming back to council. Also look into Halverson Park and doing improvements to Halverson Park to make it more of an event area. And then also to continue and expand beautification and clean streetscape maintenance efforts. And then the fourth area is health and safety. The goal of the health and safety is to expand equitable access to mental health, addiction, and primary care services through expanded programming and community-based partnerships, upgrade critical infrastructure in all neighborhoods to meet modern safety and health standards, integrate real-time data systems across emergency response and social service programs to improve coordination. Some of the tasks that were associated with that is to expand our care to full coverage and CSET to full coverage. CSET is already full coverage, but expanding care to 7 days a week is one of the things that we'll be looking into doing. Obviously, adopt the Regional Climate Action Plan. And then, of course, for our enterprise funds for water and sewer, we'll be looking at our 5-year rate study that will be beginning prior to June. And then another main one that was talked about earlier as well in the fishing thing is the maintenance dredging, that we are in the process of developing the sampling analysis plan for that. It's being reviewed by the regulators, and then we will be looking at hopefully sometime early summer, sometime around there to hopefully get to dredging. That's all I have, and so we're asking that council receives this report and adopted the strategic visioning plan. And if there's any questions, I'm available for questions.
Councilmember hand up, Fernandez.
Okay. Thank you for putting that together. I know you and I had talked about, and I remember discussing it at the strategic planning meeting. My ask for a community needs assessment, a survey. And so I had thought that it had gotten to what we had, like a stoplight system, right? Green, yellow, and red. And I had thought it gotten to green, but it was in fact yellow.
Yeah.
And so were we able to make any headway on that or move forward with any bits of it?
I mean, it's something that we can look into. I know that we've had those discussions with with economic development and communications. And so it's definitely something that we can look into. I mean, it kind of goes along the surveying of the community and doing surveys and getting an understanding of what our community feels our needs. So we can look into that.
Okay, yeah, because I would still like that very much to be something we move forward with. Because the understanding I have is, yes, we have, the Redwood Region Action Agency? Sorry, I'm blanking again on.
Which one?
RCAA, yes.
Oh,
thank you.
Redwood
Yeah.
Community Action Agency.
Yeah, and they do a community needs assessment, but again, that's for Humboldt.
Yeah.
What is it specifically for us that we do well, or where we can identify gaps? That's what I'm thinking of when we.
Yeah, and when it was discussed at strategic visioning, I know that we had talked about the county's health assessment that they did as well, which was more specific to community health as well.
Thank you. Anything further?
Oh, and by the way, Karen Deemer, the great consulting guru, is available for any questions as well.
Councilmember Castellano, you had your hand up?
Sorry, I do. I'm looking at the document. Let's see. The first question, I see the phase 2 of Sequoia Park. I remember also speaking to developing a way of identifying priorities for other park renovations. Did I miss that part?
So that's the park master plan?
Yeah.
That was brought up, so that is on community pride.
Great. Okay.
Because there was a discussion about specific parks, and it ended up being, let's look at all of them. Some people had favorites in their ward, and we figured we would do all of them.
Perfect. And then I just am wondering, the research renter protections one, in my research options for city to increase tenant protections. I would like to see, I guess, stronger language in there in terms of and develop strategies to present to council, or, I don't know, to me, research sort of leaves it sort of hanging in a etheric space.
So I know that vacancy was brought up last time, and that doing a registration, not during strategic visioning, but so that'll be coming back to you.
Yep.
That's up to council if they want to fix the wording on there. We can do that.
Does council have an opinion? Thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs sideways?
So, research and propose changes? Is that what that's what you're
propose
thinking?
Strategies for implementation.
Yeah, I mean, let's do it.
Looks like we have a consensus for that.
Yes.
Well then, do we also have one for community needs assessment then?
That's different, I believe.
Well, that's why I'm asking. Okay.
That's not for me.
Going through another strategic
City
visioning
Manager
process
Slattery?
would be difficult.
I spoke over you. Would you be
Yeah,
willing to repeat that?
I mean, our records showed that it didn't make the list. I can provide that spreadsheet. It was taken by Suzanne with the review of Karen and Pam and myself, and
No, I think
that's
that
how they ended
spreadsheet
up.
was provided in the December one. So
Yeah, I think I only provided it to you, but I can provide it to the rest of council too.
All right.
I mean, and I get it if this isn't the space for it or whatever, but I guess I'm curious, if the city doesn't do that, you did speak to RCA doing that, like what do you think in terms of partnering with?
Well, again, if we were going to be partnering, we would have to ask city staff to do that. So again, that would be amending what we have here tonight, and I'm fine with that. But again, the idea is specific to Eureka within our boundary, and that's not saying RCAA doesn't do well. It's just it's focused on health needs for larger Humboldt. I'm thinking, what is it within our community that we do well, and what gaps do we have? So asking our community, our members, what is it that you see or that we do well, and what is it that you need from us further?
Do you think a town hall might be able to kind of cover some of that territory?
Some of it, yeah.
Mhm.
But also having that survey there to expand upon those other areas.
And another idea might be to bring this forward a little bit later under future agenda items.
I can do that again.
Potentially, that might be something to consider at that point, instead of having a back and forth at.
Well, yeah, can I just add that? I mean, I think strategic visioning is that process, right? I mean, of what of our community needs. I think that's what this is. So if there's something that we missed, we didn't do our job right. That's the way I look at it. Is like you're asking for more strategic visioning, essentially.
I'm asking it for on a broader, more micro level. I know that sounds conflicting, but again, strategic visioning, as we've done it, takes place on one day for the entirety of the day, and it's open for public comment for approximately 30 minutes. And so this would be able, I think, to be done in a more, I don't want to say general, but in a broader fashion, in that you would be able to, at least whether it's at a town hall or even online, get more of that data, more of that input.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Did anyone have anything further about that?
I mean, I guess I personally feel like I'd be interested in supporting like a town hall or something as like a way of kind of like generating the conversation and then seeing how that went, and then we could kind of think about it from there.
I can host an upcoming town hall, and maybe if I can work, or if staff would be willing to at least help put together a survey for that and see what we can get from that.
Yeah, we'd probably work with both communications on the survey part of it, but community services,
Okay.
and Donna, excuse me, Director Wood.
Great. So we have
the technology. I'm good. Yeah.
And we have resolution with that then. So be looking for that, public. Okay, is there anything further? Okay. Councilmember Moulton.
I just wanted to thank Karen for the thoughtful facilitation and for all of the staff and my colleagues that participated in this. This is really where we set the direction of this massive ship that is the city of Eureka, and it takes years for these things to actually come to fruition. So having that process be so thorough and ultimately come up with something so concise is just really, really valuable. So thank you for that.
And this is just receiving a report. I'm just looking at it's actually opening this item up for public comment. Is there anyone from the public here that would like to comment on this item? Do you see anybody online, Shannon?
Janelle? Can you speak a
Not
little
very
louder?
well.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Wow, that was a long meeting. You all did.
Janelle, are you still there? Oh, she's there, but
End of the meeting. I don't remember the navigation center was mentioned or discussed. The governor now is pushing for encampment clearings. He's put out an encampment ordinance. There's pressure to do something. As housing is addressed, people need a place to live. There is still $1.5 million in the HHAP round 3.
Janelle, I think you keep cutting out because we're only getting part of what you're saying.
she's still there, but the call dropped.
The call dropped.
Yeah, bullet 7 on page 5 deals with the navigation center.
Okay,
so we
great.
have it in the strategic plan.
Great, thank you. So maybe, she trying?
Janelle?
Would you say it was page 5? Page 7?
There we go. Can you hear me?
Now we
Yes.
can, yes.
It's very hard. Sorry. There's $1.5 million. The Board of Supervisors appointed recently a committee to look at homelessness. And they were leaning toward, I think, doing an ordinance so that they could have, have a reason to go to people and offer them something. That was my impression. Please add discussion of what to do while housing is addressed. And as part of that discussion, please consider campgrounds and whether or not you can work with other parts of the county to do that. Thank you.
Thanks, Janelle.
I see no one else on Zoom.
Seeing no one else, we'll close the public comment and bring it back to council for a second. And any comments?
A motion?
A motion. What did I say, a second?
Yeah.
That too. Councilmember Bauer.
Let's see here. I'll make a motion to receive the report and adopt the strategic goals and initiatives for 2025-2026.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. Any further comments? Seeing none, please
with
vote.
with the changes that were discussed.
With the change to the renters, bringing back a plan.
Think you agreeable with that, Scott?
I agree to that.
Great.
I guess I am too.
All right, please vote.
4 yes votes, Councilmember Contreras-Deloche absent, motion carries.
And that brings us to our Brown Act update with Deputy City Attorney Holtz. Thank you so much, Karen, for staying this whole meeting again. You're a trooper.
Stand back, I guess.
Yeah, that's what she said.
Clicker. Good evening, Mayor and Council. I have a brief update to the Brown Act through Senate Bill 707, which came into effect on January 1st. There were really big changes in SB 707. Those ones don't apply to the city of Eureka, so don't worry about those ones. They apply to big cities or little cities and big counties, and we're neither. Although the threshold is 30,000 and we are approaching, so at some point we may have to worry about those changes, but not for tonight. The ones that you do have to worry about are the ones listed on the bullet points, and then the ones in bold are the ones I'm going to go into more detail on. Those ones in bold have their own slide. That means there's 4 slides left to go tonight. So the ones that do apply, the AB 992 rules around social media that came into effect during, well, I guess a little after COVID, those are now permanent. There's now a required opportunity for public comment on items, re-agendized items that were previously considered by committee. So old rules, hey, a committee already considered all the public comment. Now that it's at the legislative body, we can just vote. New rule, maybe you don't have to have public comment once it reaches the legislative body, but in certain circumstances you do. And they'll make a lot of sense when we get to that slide. And then the last one, the reason you're all here tonight, is the changes for remote participation rules. Those, from my estimation, are the ones that are going to affect most of you on the kind of day-to-day or bi-week to bi-week. It collapses the emergency exception that was there under the remote participation rules from COVID into just cause, and then it creates some limits on how many times the remote participation can be used by members of a legislative body. And for those planning commissioners who are listening in, I'll be giving you the same presentation. So that's why I'm using words like legislative body, because this applies to all of the city's legislative bodies. The others I'll zoom through. So there's now explicit authority to remove Zoom bombers, just as there is explicit authority to remove a disruptive member of the public in person. There is now a requirement to orally summarize compensation recommendations for certain employees. Now that extends to department heads. I don't think that sentence came out right, but I think you know what I mean. There's the existing requirement that when certain employees have their compensation reviewed, there has to be an oral summary.
now department heads are in that group of employees where there needs to be an oral summary. Then there is alternative teleconferencing for an advisory body when permitted by its legislative body, and for some, multi-jurisdictional bodies. What that means is if the body that creates a committee, like an ad hoc committee or an advisory body, says, hey, y'all can meet remotely, then they can meet remotely. But it has to be in the resolution or ordinance that authorizes the creation of the kind of sub body. It's got to say in there whether or not that sub body has that authority or not. And then certain multi-jurisdictional bodies are automatically allowed to work by teleconferencing with the recognition that they are multi-jurisdictional, therefore coming from a lot of different places. So some of you may serve on those boards. And finally, it requires local agencies, so that's the city, to provide a copy of the Brown Act to any person elected or appointed to a legislative body. And it's an open question whether that has to be paper or electronic. Social media use. So we did have this change that said members of legislative bodies can use social media. You can put a Facebook post, hey, constituents, what do you think about tearing up every sidewalk in Eureka and making wider roads everywhere? And that's fine. You're allowed to comment, to ask for comments from the people you represent. What's not okay is for one of you to then thumbs up that recommendation or that question even from someone else, right? Because now it's starting to look like a meeting that is not really a meeting, right? Which is exactly what the Brown Act is designed to stop. And so we don't want closed meetings, the smoky back room. Well, the smoky back room has turned into social media. And so these rules are extended to social media to make sure that there's not kind of indirect communication happening. So obviously no one wants to turn all the sidewalks into roads, but if one member posts that and two other members give it a thumbs up, now all of a sudden something very unpopular gets on the agenda and gets passed and people go, where did this come from? It came from a thumbs up on Facebook, so not allowed. There's the wording, the specific wording in the statute. So it's got to be separate conversations or communications on an internet-based social media platform to answer questions, provide information, or solicit information, but no communicating nor responding to another member's posts. This is the reopening public comment on items previously considered by committee. So the existing law is on the top. The agenda does not need to provide public comment on something that's already been considered. But there's these exceptions. Well, what if there was not a quorum at the meeting of the committee when the item was initially considered? Well, in that case, maybe there needs to be public comment now. Not might be. There has to be. That's the new law. Or the item has been substantially changed since it was passed through committee. So the public comments at committee, it goes through a bunch of changes, comes to the legislative body. It seems common sense that the public would get an opportunity to comment about that. And then the second is just kind of specific subject matter jurisdiction. So if the committee is looking at these kind of hot button topics, then the public gets gets to comment when that item comes to the legislative body. So it's things like law enforcement, so police oversight, removing books from libraries, things like that. Now the fun one, there's 2 slides on this one. That's how fun it is. Number 1, so AB 2449 allowed remote participation, which is now extended through 2030. So importantly, remote participation is different from a teleconferenced meeting. The government code already allows a teleconferenced meeting. That means a meeting that's held where all the members or some of the members are somewhere else. And the agenda is posted at that place where they are. And the public gets to know exactly where they are. And the public can show up there to comment. That law isn't changed. That can still happen. For many reasons, mostly related to privacy and urgency, that was unworkable. A member of a legislative body who had an emergency couldn't use the teleconferencing because they couldn't meet the 72 hours. A council member who's on a family vacation in Hawaii maybe doesn't want to post the name and address of their hotel to let the public go there and comment. So that still is there. So if we want to use that, we can use that. That is unchanged. That was unchanged by 2449. That is unchanged. That one's still there. The changes are the ones that I've seen used with more frequency. And that's the remote participation, which is where a member is participating remotely because of a specific cause. So those are the just cause reasons that are listed there. And the big change here is that emergency used to have its own section. Emergency is now just one of those just cause reasons. So there's no more separate emergency. There is emergency, but it's under just cause, if that makes any sense. Childcare, caregiving needs that require participation remotely, a contagious illness, a need related to a physical or mental condition that is not otherwise accommodated as a disability. What does that mean? There's a specific section above these new changes that says, hey, if we have a member of the public body that needs accommodations to participate, like on the reg, we have to give it to them. This is not that. This is not someone who generally cannot participate or needs some accommodation to participate remotely. This is for people who generally are fine with the system, but today I have a cold. Travel while on official business of the legislative body. So I did have a question about that. Like, what if it's, someone's working somewhere else? Well, if it's official business of an agency, it's got to be government work. So if someone works for another state agency or another local agency and has to travel, that one meets this requirement. If someone has a job that takes them out of the county and they want to participate, that doesn't fly unless that job is another government job. An immunocompromised child requiring remote participation, physical or family medical emergency, and then military service obligations. It's not a blank check, though. So now we're on to part 2. Number 1, the member must notify the body as soon as the need is known. That's not changed. You can show up via Zoom at the beginning of the meeting and say, hey, I have this need. The change, though, or the specification here is that you must identify the specific just cause reason listed above. So showing up and saying, hey, I need to participate remotely isn't enough. It's got to be, I need to participate remotely because I have, and then you read off one of these on the list. I have a contagious illness that prevents me from attending in person. The reason we need to announce it is that it has to be noted in the minutes. And so the minutes have to say this person participated remotely for this reason. We also have to track it because there's a limit to the number of times the just cause remote participation can be used. For a body like council that meets twice per month, that's 5 times per year. For other bodies that meet once per month, say, the Planning Commission, that would be 2 times per calendar year. I almost said 1. 2 times per calendar year. And if a member participates remotely, they not only must they use audio visual, but they must allow commenters to use the same thing. The idea here is like parity. So if I show up as a member of a legislative body and I'm on Zoom participating fully, it would be a little odd for the legislative body to say, hey, public commenter number 1, you only can comment on audio. Whatever you're giving to the remotely participating member has to be offered to the member of the public. And finally, and this one is not changed, it's still there. Anyone who's participating remotely must disclose before any action is taken whether any individuals 18 or older are present in the room at the location with the member and the general nature of their relationship with those individuals. So of course, the idea here is that just behind the camera or behind the video, you have someone kind of directing you and you're just a puppet or something like that. So that's something to remember, though, because when it comes to vote, we have to say, and I'm voting remotely, there is no one here over 18 in the room with me. Or there is, and they are, and then you name the general relationship you have with them. That's the meat and potatoes of it. Any questions?
I have 2, and then I'll call on people. So just to clarify, if we have a remote, it would only be a remote council person. It wouldn't be a remote, consultant or something. But if a council member was out of town and was on the meeting, then all of public comment, their pictures would be shown as well. Is that what I'm hearing?
It has to be offered, yes.
Has to be offered.
So if the council member is able to, the council member has to be audio and visual. And then if the council member gets audio and visual, then public commenters are offered audio and visual. They don't have to take it. If they only want to call in by phone, they can. But we, the city, cannot deny them the opportunity to use the same level of technology, for lack of a better word, than we're offering our member.
Yeah, that's been problematic in the past. And then with Facebook or with social media, Instagram, all of that, no thumbs up, but can you share other people's, like say that a council member is having a special event, for instance, or say that that council person has created a survey and wanting input. Is it appropriate to share that without the thumbs up and without your opinion, or is it just best to not share any of it?
It really comes down to what the item is and whether it's something that's going to be for discussion. So general information is probably okay to share because you're just disseminating kind of a one-sided city thing. If you're talking about something you're about to vote on and you're trying to get the public's feel, that I would really stay away from, because that's a topic that's going to be under consideration, and any sharing might look more like endorsements. And so I think the kind of litmus test is this something I can endorse? And if it's a general city like survey, that's something I can endorse, versus something where that's up for discussion or decision, that's going to be harder to say I'm endorsing this. Whoa. If I'm endorsing that, that means I'm pre-voting. We don't want to do that.
Okay, thank you. Other questions? Councilmember Moulton?
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, Mayor Begel covered my question. I just want to make sure we got this totally right. If there is no council member participating remotely, then we can still have the same restriction on video for Zoom participants that we have now. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so only if we're using it, they have to be offered to use it.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's what we get for being a small city. The rules everyone's worrying about translation requirements and remote, like those are for the big cities. We don't have to worry about that one.
And go ahead.
Is there already a set of criteria for disruptive individuals that is for physical participation that can be translated to remote participation?
I think so. I think we can provide some guidance. It's relatively clear, right? And the general idea is don't just kick people out. Like give another opportunity, try to calm them down, try to take a break as an entire council. And it would be the same thing for the Zoom. We want to encourage and give people their right to comment, even if they're being a little, I wouldn't say disruptive, because that's the trigger, right? But even if they're loud or something's going on that is making people uncomfortable, we can't really take their right away immediately. We have to give them an opportunity, but we will provide guidance in the context of remote participation.
Thank you.
One of the things to consider is the distraction factor when you've got people, dancing in the background or pouring a drink or holding up signage or beating their kids, all those kinds of things.
And I think Councilmember Moulton asks about the hard ones, right? Like, where do we decide? I think the law was written with the clear ones in mind, where people pop onto the Zoom meeting and say anti-Semitic things, for example. That's just clearly not for here. The harder cases are going to be the ones where people are commenting on something that is before council, but they're doing it in a way that is their way of communicating, might not be our way of communicating, but we have to allow it and respect it and can't just call it disruptive. So there's some sticky issues there. The city attorney's office will provide guidance.
And it's only the camera on for their 3 minutes, right? Where they're speaking, so that there's not that background kind of distraction happening during the meeting.
Correct. I could only imagine chaos if everyone had to have their video on.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Any Councilmember Castellano?
Thank you. To the mayor's question earlier. Oh, thanks. I was still voting. To the mayor's question earlier, it seems like in terms of social media that if there's sort of a gray area, like, oh, a council member posted this, am I tacitly agreeing or not by thumbs upping it, I guess, or resharing.
It's a verb. It's fine. Yeah.
Language. It seems like one opportunity could be, if it's a public information thing, to ask the city itself to share it, which would sort of be kind of neutralizing the item outside of individual council members' sort of purview, and then anyone could share it at that point in terms of it's not a. And then the other question is just sort of a functional question. This is really useful, and I'm wondering if it could be shared with like the city managers meeting and with the other JPAs and things like that. This presentation.
Yes, I think yes to both questions. Like number one, it's just safer to avoid it, right? Instead of getting close to the sun, like just fly a little lower. So I think your idea is a good one. And then two, yes, of course.
Great. Further questions? And this is just receiving a report. Thank you so much. We appreciate
Thank you.
all this information. This takes us to future agenda items. Do we have any? Councilmember Bauer?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like for us, there's been some talk about offshore oil drilling. I believe Santa Cruz has an ordinance and maybe a couple of other coastal cities. I would like to explore an ordinance that would allow the city to, how do I say this, control related infrastructure with drilling, whether that be to not allow it, something that provides the city the ability to regulate potential offshore oil drilling by regulating the infrastructure that comes with it.
So not by zoning, more so by not allowing certain manufactured things that are related to oil.
No, I haven't seen the ordinance yet. I just know it's out there, but I
We
believe
can research it. Santa Cruz, correct?
Yeah, I believe it's about infrastructure. If you can't pipe it to shore, you can't get it to shore. Okay. And so you kind of can control the activity by regulating it in our jurisdiction.
Was this a comment about this, or did you have a separate item?
Well, it could be a comment about this, or it could be a separate item.
Okay. Consensus on this one?
Yeah, I think we have time. I don't think this is something that we should spend some time with. So there's no rush, like with the,
I heard somebody say 2027 earlier, so we'll give it a year. So
no, we got some time.
So we have a consensus, it looks like. And then Councilmember Castellano, did you have another item?
Before that, Mayor, can I make a motion to extend the meeting for 10 minutes? Miles still has to talk.
No.
10?
Second.
Okay.
10 minutes?
Yeah.
Second.
Leslie seconded.
Oh, okay.
I already did. All right, please vote.
4 yes votes. Councilmember Contreras Deloche absent. Motion carries.
Thank you. Councilmember Castellano.
Sure. Slightly different than that item. It'd be great to just perhaps at the same meeting to bring back just options that would prevent the siting of oil, gas, mining infrastructure in the city of Eureka.
Say it again?
Just prevent options. So like maybe it wouldn't be specific to, like it could be, like what are different ordinances, like what are, like perhaps it's zoning, perhaps it's industry related, just a kind of menu of options if there are more than one strategy.
So to broaden your topic, it sounds like.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Similar. It'll be
You seeing
And it
these
looks-
thumbs, Miles?
Yeah, we have a consensus. Yes, we do. We have a consensus. All right. So if there are if there aren't any more future agenda items, this moves us to city manager reports. He did such a fabulous job on strategic visioning. Maybe we'll give him the night off.
It'll be real quick.
Okay.
Just want to give a quick housing update. I'm trying to get confirmation, but there may be a groundbreaking for the Elders development for the Wyatt in the parking lot here at 6th and M tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and I will try to get confirmation, but that may happen. We recently just amended the disposition and development agreement for rural communities so that they could take over ownership of where building 1 is going to go so that they're more competitive to get the gap funding. And so we're pretty optimistic that that gap funding will come in and building 1 will be fully funded. And the Earth Center is moving along. They're finalizing the plans, and we're hoping to be in construction at the Earth Center probably March-ish of this year.
That's great news.
March, April. And of course, the Link projects are doing very well at 8th and G, Sunny and Myrtle, and 6th and M. Right, M, yes.
Yeah, you have 8 more minutes.
If we'd given you the
is it?
night off, we would have missed all that excellent information. Thank you so much, City Manager Slattery.
Thanks for
With
having me.
We're adjourned.